Chapter 2181. The function of the super-appraisal eye had undoubtedly strengthened his appraisal eye. Not only could he find people, he could also find materials. This made him very satisfied. It seemed that the lottery this time was not a waste. At least, apart from finding people, he could also find materials and elixirs. If it was just to find people, it would be a waste. All along, he had not been looking for many people. It was always others who came to him. It was naturally a waste to list out one function. All right. Yi Tianyun stood up under the puzzled gaze of the crowd. He looked around and smiled. We can start looking for people now. May I know the name of your princess? What's the name of our princess? Hong Yuan and the rest were startled. They did not know why Yi Tianyun suddenly asked this question. What was the meaning of this? My sister is Kong Shengming. Kong Yeyue interrupted. Kong Shengming. Very good. After Yi Tianyun said this, he raised his head slightly. His eyes started to emit a faint light. Very quickly, rays of light appeared in the distance. The people around him could not see these rays of light. Only Yi Tianyun could see them. Those balls of light were not anything. Rather, they were all people by the name of Kong Shengming. In this world, there were so many living beings. There were trillions of them, so many that it was impossible to count them all. Therefore, no matter what name they had, they were all overused. Even if it was Yi Tianyun, it was unknown how many millions of people had used it. Similarly, this name would also be used by others. Let's start with this. Yi Tianyun's gaze focused on one of the rays of light. His pupils shrank slightly. Immediately, the scene around the ray of light appeared in his mind. It was an ordinary woman picking elixirs. He could clearly see the situation around him in a small circle, but it could not cover a large area. This ability made Yi Tianyun very surprised. With just a slight glance, he could easily see the situation around him. Perhaps the range of coverage was not very wide, but at least he knew the situation around him. This was equivalent to having an additional ability to scout the enemy. Not only did he know where the enemy was, but he also knew who or what was around the enemy. He thought it was just a simple guide, but now it seemed that this ability was really powerful. Definitely not Kong Shengming from the Death Clan. Yi Tianyun immediately concluded that it wasn't her. Not to mention her looks, just based on her actions, it was obvious that she wasn't Kong Shengming. Kong Shengming must have been caught. Under such circumstances, it was impossible for her to harvest the elixirs. Moreover, it was impossible for his cultivation to be so low that Yi Tianyun could eliminate him in an instant. Then, he looked at the next one. The next one was called Kong Shengming, but it was a guy. Eliminated. If all the men were princesses, it would be really scary. Yi Tianyun searched and eliminated them one by one. Finally, he found something different in one of the balls of light. In this area, there was a person who looked similar to Kong Yeyue. She was trapped in a cage of light. This woman's eyes were filled with indifference. She looked outside the cage coldly and opened her mouth to say something. Without a doubt, she was the real Kong Shengming. Whether it was in terms of appearance, cultivation, or bloodline, she was definitely Kong Shengming. Yi Tianyun could detect the situation over there, but he couldn't hear what they were talking about. He didn't have such an ability for now. Yi Tianyun checked the surroundings and found that there was a sturdy cage around him. There were also 3 cultivators talking to Kong Shengming. Although he couldn't hear what they were saying, they looked very ferocious and seemed to be forcing her to do something. That's her. Yi Tianyun's eyes lit up. He finally found the area where Kong Shengming was. What's going on? When they saw Yi Tianyun stand up suddenly, they felt a little strange. He had just sat down for a short while, but he suddenly stood up as though he had discovered something. I roughly know the location of your princess. Yi Tianyun said with a smile. What? They were all shocked. He could know the location just by sitting down and meditating? What was the principle behind this? They didn't see what Dharma treasure Yi Tianyun used, and he didn't carve a big array on the ground. He just sat down and he could sense the location. Could it be the legendary super spiritual force search? Even if one had an extremely strong spiritual force, he could clearly detect every corner along the way. However, this was only the legendary super spiritual force, which was treated as a joke by others. No one's spiritual force would be strong enough to cover every area, let alone penetrate every area. However, Yi Tianyun suddenly said that he had found it. Could it really be the super spiritual force? Which one of you wants to go with me? The rest of you can just stay here. This place is relatively safe. Yi Tianyun didn't bring everyone. He only brought 1 or 2 people with him, so that he could communicate with Kong Shengming. I will go, Kong Yue stood up and said. All right, you will go with me. Yi Tianyun nodded and said, you can stay here temporarily and wait for us to come back. Benefactor, can't we go together? Hong Yuan also wanted to go. He was also worried about the princess's situation. The area I am going to is more dangerous. If I bring too many people there, it won't be very convenient. If there is danger, I believe you know what will happen. Yi Tianyun reached out and patted Hong Yuan's shoulder. He smiled and said, stay here. Hong Yuan wanted to say something but stopped. He could only watch them leave. After Yi Tianyun left, everyone started to discuss how Yi Tianyun found the princess. However, they didn't think that it was a lie. After all, he had saved so many of them. What was the point of lying to them? On the way, Kong Yue didn't say anything. She didn't ask Yi Tianyun how he knew. She just stayed silent. Aren't you going to ask me how I know? Yi Tianyun looked at Kong Yue and asked. No need. Since I trust you, I will choose to believe whatever you say. I only want the result. The process doesn't matter. Kong Yue smiled and said, you can say that I am being too casual. However, the Death Clan, once we have identified someone, we will not have any doubts. But in this case, aren't you being plotted against? Yi Tianyun said. Yes, but we will still choose to do this. Mutual trust is a truly worthy partner, and I think you're very trustworthy. Kong Yue didn't distrust Yi Tianyun. She didn't trust him before, but after a series of events, she completely trusted Yi Tianyun. Chapter 2182. Hearing Kong Yue's words, Yi Tianyun had a better impression of the Death Clan. Just based on their way of thinking, they were truly trustworthy companions. No wonder they could become the 5-colored Emperor Dragon's divine general. With such quality, they were a level higher than most cultivators. Since you trust me so much, I won't let you down. Yi Tianyun smiled and kept Kong Yue in his spatial pocket. I will find your sister soon. Just wait patiently. Immediately, he flew at full speed toward the force that imprisoned Kong Shengming. As time passed, the light in front of him became brighter and brighter, indicating that he was getting closer to his target. After passing through a region, he came to a vast area. Looking ahead, he saw a huge city with many giant beasts patrolling in the sky. Above the giant beasts, there were guards stationed. Just the guards alone were far more than the other forces. When he saw clearly whose force it was, Yi Tianyun was startled. He immediately shook his head and smiled. What a coincidence. I didn't expect it to be so coincidental. The force in front of him was the Tian family. It was the family of Tian Yuyuan and Tian Xinhuan. He originally thought that he wouldn't have any interaction with the Tian family, but now, Kong Shengming was in the Tian family. If it was the Liu family, then there was no need to mention it. Of course, it was impossible for the Liu family to exist. After all, Kong Yue was rescued from the Liu family. Now, it was the Tian family. The Tian family didn't have any enmity with him except for Tian Yuyuan and the others. Although he had some relationship with Tian Yuyuan, it didn't seem like Tian Yuyuan had any enmity with the Tian family. If there was any enmity, Tian Kuangyue did have some enmity with Yi Tianyun. Yi Tianyun had helped Tian Yuyuan, so Tian Kuangyue must have hated him to death. If he were to be seen, Tian Kuangyue would definitely be furious. If it wasn't for Yi Tianyun, how could Tian Yuyuan and the others escape? The Tian family, since things have reached this stage, I can only sneak in. Yi Tianyun didn't wish to have any conflict with the Tian family. Compared to the Liu family, the Tian family's strength can only be stronger. In his current state, he might not be able to win if he charged in. Thus, the best way was to sneak in. This was the best way. After looking around, he quietly slipped in from the side. However, just as he approached, he stopped. In front of him was an invisible energy wall. This was not a formation but a verbal compliance law executed by the Tien clan's Grand Star Venerate. This meant that if he wanted to enter, he would definitely be sensed by the verbal compliance law. Verbal compliance law was much easier to use than formations. The price one had to pay for it was also much lower. Now, it would be a little more difficult to sneak in. I thought I could sneak in, but now it looks like I'll have to go through the main entrance. Yi Tianyun had only sensed it when he got close to the door. The only thing he could do now was to turn around and go through the main entrance. As soon as he arrived at the main entrance, he was stopped by the guards. "Who are you?" The guard sized up Yi Tianyun with a stern expression. The guard riding on the giant beast also looked over. As long as Yi Tianyun tried to barge in, he would be killed without mercy. "I'm here to visit the Tien clan. I have something to discuss with you," Yi Tianyun said calmly. "Didn't you hear me clearly? Report your identity first. We don't even know who you are. How can we report you? Go and report." Yi Tianyun snorted in the guard's direction. The pressure of a Grand Star Venerate immediately surged over, forcing the guard to take several steps back and almost fall to the ground. Lord Grand Star Venerate." The guard was frightened. He was just a Star Venerate. If Yi Tianyun had not held back his power, this guard would have vomited blood. If it were a Star Venerate, he might not be a match for him, but he would not be so frightened. After all, a Star Venerate was not a powerhouse here. Only a Grand Star Venerate was a true powerhouse. If a Star Venerate showed his cultivation slightly, he could make the other side compromise quickly. He did not need to report his faction. His cultivation alone was enough for the guards to worship him and treat him as a distinguished guest. If a Star Venerate did this, he would probably be regarded as a troublemaker. Please wait for a moment. We will go and report." The guard went to report right away. He could communicate with the internal department through the communication jade token. After a short while, the guard came back. He said respectfully, "Sir, I have reported. I will take you in now." This was the difference between having power and not having power. If he had power, even if he was slapped, he would have to be respectful. Yi Tianyun nodded and asked him to lead the way. The guard led them to the Tien clan's palace. Honored guests would be brought to this palace first. On the way, Yi Tianyun quickly marked the place with a super teleportation divine stone. It did not cost a super teleportation divine stone to mark the place. He did it casually. That was why he marked the place along the way. In this way, he would have more choices when he came in. He had come in so boldly because he wanted to mark the place. Ordinary teleportation divine stones could not bring him in, but a super teleportation divine stone could. He was taken into the palace quickly. After a short while, a Star Venerable came over to receive him. "Sir, why have you come here? The elders have something to do, so they can't come out to receive you. You can tell me about it, and I will prepare it for you." The Star Venerable was also very respectful. He did not know why Yi Tianyun had come here, but since a great Star Venerable had come here, something big must have happened. "What's the matter?" Yi Tianyun squinted. It was obvious that he was talking with Kong Shengming. That was why he did not have time to come here. "Yes. It's something urgent. But I can decide many things. You can come to me." The Star Venerable in front of him was quite young. Apparently, he was a genius of the younger generation. His name was Tian Mulong. "Actually, it's nothing important. I heard you captured a member of the Death Clan. Can I see him?" Yi Tianyun asked directly. It was simple and rude. "How did you know?" Tian Mulong blurted out in shock. "It seems I guessed right. You really captured a member of the Death Clan," Yi Tianyun said with a faint smile. Tian Mulong's face darkened. He did not expect he had spilled the beans. "Don't be so nervous. The Tien clan is so powerful. I can't do it by force, can I? I came here this time to negotiate with you. I can pay you a high price to ask for your help. As for the details, I think it's better to let your elders discuss it. I don't think you can make the decision." Chapter 2183. Since Yi Tianyun had said so, He was not afraid of being hunted down by the Tian family. If he had been a star venerable, he would have been killed immediately. However, he was a grand star venerable. He was qualified to negotiate. If his cultivation was too low, he would not have been qualified to negotiate. He would have been tortured. If his cultivation was too low, Yi Tianyun would have used some other excuse to sneak in. He would not have said it so simply and crudely. If he wanted to sneak in, he would have to use many tricks. He chose the simplest and crudely. The Liu family was weaker than the Tian family. There were traps outside, as well as all kinds of great formations. Even if Yi Tianyun could be transported outside, he would have to force his way in. That was the princess of the Death Clan. How could they not strengthen their guard? Therefore, this was not an idiot's way. It was the most feasible way. If there was no other way, he could only be transported outside and sneak in. Tian Mulong looked at Yi Tianyun in silence for a while. Then he nodded and said, "Wait here for a moment. I will go and ask." Tian Mulong did not know how Yi Tianyun got the news, but he could only go and inform him in the current situation. This kind of matter was indeed not something that he could make the decision on. Tian Mulong hurried out to inform him. He left Yi Tianyun to wait in the palace. He asked other attendants to come and serve him good tea. Soon, an old man walked in. Tian Mulong was very respectful behind him. Obviously, the person who could make the decision had come. The old man was a grand star venerable in the middle stage. He was powerful indeed. However, he was nothing in front of Yi Tianyun. "My friend, can you tell me where you got the news?" Tian Shengfeng's eyes were like torches, as if he wanted to see through Yi Tianyun's thoughts. What he wanted to know first was this matter, not who Yi Tianyun was, or what price Yi Tianyun had to pay. "It seems that you are still very concerned about this matter." Yi Tianyun smiled faintly. "Yes, we did it very discreetly. We thought that there were no other cultivators around. Even if there were, they would have disappeared completely." Tian Shengfeng's eyes were filled with killing intent. They didn't want other powers to know that they had the Death Clan. In fact, it wasn't just to prevent other forces from robbing them. More importantly, it was to prevent the Death Clan from discovering them. They didn't know if the experts of the Death Clan would come to rescue them. In any case, being cautious was always a good thing. Therefore, when they caught Kong Shengming, they killed all the cultivators around them. No matter what forces were behind them, they killed all of them. Now, Tian Shengfeng was thinking, did someone spread the news at that time? However, they immediately executed the verbal compliance law. Even if they had a message token, they would not be able to send the message out. There's no such thing as an impenetrable wall in the world. You don't need to know where I got this information from. I just want to tell you that I don't know much. Yi Tianyun looked at Tian Shengfeng and said with a smile, "I wonder what you're thinking now. Are you going to kill me?" Tian Shengfeng stared at him for a while and said indifferently, "If your cultivation was lower, I would really kill you. It seems that the news was leaked. But it's all right, it's within my expectations." Tian Shengfeng was quite straightforward. He had the same thought, but Yi Tianyun's cultivation was not low. "It seems that you've accepted my request." Yi Tianyun squinted his eyes slightly. "No, I didn't say that. I just came out to meet you. There are many clansmen of the Death Clan scattered outside. You can go out and try your luck. Your request is to resurrect your own people. The other Death Clan members can do the same." After Tian Shengfeng rejected, he added, "I can provide you with a way to capture them. It's to use light attribute treasures. This way, it'll be much easier to search. It's not the same. The ones you've captured are different from the Death Clan outside." Yi Tianyun said indifferently, "There are some things that I don't need to be too straightforward. Since I've come to find you, I know that the ones you've captured are different. What you can provide me is different." As soon as he finished speaking, a murderous intent surged towards him. Yi Tianyun just smiled and didn't care about the murderous intent at all. "It seems that you know a lot." Tian Shengfeng stared at Yi Tianyun. His murderous intent gradually calmed down and he didn't deny anything. Since he said so, it meant that he came prepared. Then, there was no need for him to hide anything. "I know a little more. You don't need to be too hostile towards me. As long as my conditions are met, I can guarantee that no one else will know about the situation here. Yi Tianyun said confidently. He didn't lie. He was the only one who knew. Tian Shengfeng looked at him for a while and said, "Tell me, what do you want to do?" Obviously, he had compromised. "Let's meet first. I want to see the princess of the Death Clan. I want to see what's going on." Yi Tianyun smiled faintly and said, "I wonder if this is enough to satisfy me." "Sure. Follow me." Tian Shengfeng didn't waste any more time. He turned around and walked outside. Yi Tianyun quickly followed. Tian Mulong could only stay here. What happened next was not something he could manage. Tian Shengfeng didn't want to talk to him. If he could, he wanted to kill Yi Tianyun directly. Under the guidance of Tian Shengfeng, they quickly came to a tunnel that led underground. This was not surprising. Normally, treasuries or important people would be locked underground. This way, it would be more secretive. In the outside world, it wouldn't be easy to find out. Not long after, they came to a door. After Tian Shengfeng made a few hand signs, the door opened slowly. He led Yi Tianyun inside. Yi Tianyun was so calm because he saw that Kong Shengming was inside. He didn't want to take him to another area. After walking around, they finally came to a door. He pushed it open and took him in. What came into view was a huge cage with 2 Grand Star Venerables at its sides. When they came in, the conversation stopped abruptly and everyone looked in their direction. Yi Tianyun didn't care about their gazes. He looked up at Kong Shengming. Kong Shengming was sitting in the center of the cage with a calm face. She didn't panic because she was caught. She didn't beg for mercy. She just sat there quietly. Its sister, Kong Yewei, was pleasantly surprised in the space inside Yi Tianyun's body. She didn't expect to find her. Chapter 2184. Kong Yewei was very happy to see her sister. Yi Tianyun did not feel anything. He knew that Kong Shengming was here, so he would not be excited. Everything was within his expectations. It proved that the effect of the super appraisal eye was unparalleled. When Kong Shengming saw Yi Tianyun come in, she did not feel anything. In her opinion, he was on the same side as the Tian family. "Why did you bring him in?" Tian Yueming's eyes turned cold. He had not expected Tian Shengfeng to bring Yi Tianyun in. Yi Tianyun looked in the direction of the voice and found Tian Yuming to be very familiar. If he looked carefully, he did look a bit similar to Tian Xinghuan and Tian Yuyuan. To be more precise, Tian Yuyuan looked more similar to him. He immediately determined that Tian Yuming was Tian Yuyuan and Tian Xinghuan's father. He had a high position here and was a late-stage star venerable. It was indeed a shocking cultivation. No wonder both of his children were great star venerables. "He knows that we caught the princess," Tian Shengfeng said honestly. "What?" On the side, Tian Qingxue was shocked, and her reaction was even more intense than theirs. "That's impossible. Back then, I killed everyone, not leaving a single one alive. No one was able to send a message out." As a female cultivator, Qingxue was also very ruthless. He did not expect that the one who caught Kong Shengming would be Qingxue. Yi Tianyun thought it was Tian Yuming and the others who caught the princess. It turned out that it was Qingxue who caught the princess. However, no matter who caught the princess, it was the Tian family. But he already said that we captured the princess. How could he be wrong? Tian Shengfeng said calmly, "Obviously, there was a fish that escaped the net. It's that simple." Tian Shengfeng slapped the door behind him. With a loud bang, the door behind him was shut. "What? You want to fight?" Yi Tianyun looked at Tian Shengfeng's angry expression, but he still had a calm expression. There was nothing that could make him feel afraid. Even though there were 3 Grand Star Venerables here, there was nothing to be afraid of. "If I wanted to fight, I would have done it a long time ago. Why would I bring you here?" Tian Shengfeng snorted coldly, feeling extremely displeased. Yi Tianyun was not just a Grand Star Venerable. They were more concerned about the faction behind him. A force with a Grand Star Venerate was certainly not simple. The fact that Yi Tianyun could come here openly meant that he was prepared. Perhaps that faction knew that Yi Tianyun was coming. If Yi Tianyun didn't return, The result would be obvious. At this critical juncture, no one wanted to make any mistakes. The violet gold divine pavilion was about to open. If something big were to happen now, the violet gold divine pavilion might not be able to enter and the losses would be even greater. Looks like you're still quite rational. Yi Tianyun shrugged. The other two elders looked gloomy. They had also thought a lot. In the end, they could only choose to compromise. All right. Don't be so long-winded. The princess is here. You can look around. She was just captured by us and didn't do many things well. What can you get from her? What can you make her do? Tian Shengfeng said in a deep voice, I'll give you some time. Do whatever you want to do. Don't forget what you said. They had just been captured and didn't know many things. They couldn't make Kong Shengming do anything. They could only stare at her and couldn't do anything else. All right. I'll start now. Yi Tianyun took a step forward. Looking at Kong Shengming, he said, What's the situation with the Death Clan? Kong Shengming glanced at him indifferently. She didn't answer. She remained silent. Don't be silly. You won't get anything out of her. We've been asking her for a long time. She doesn't even know how to answer. Tian Shengfeng said sarcastically, You can't go back on your word. We've given you a chance. It's up to you to take it. What price do I have to pay in exchange for her? Yi Tianyun asked. What do you want to pay for her? Tian Shengfeng was struck dumb. Then he said with a cold smile, You want to pay for her? No problem. Give me several star venerable level treasures, several batches of divine herbs, and 1 or 2 members of the Death Clan. We'll pay for her right away. Can I understand that you're demanding an exorbitant price? Yi Tianyun's eyes turned cold. Star venerable level treasures were extremely rare. Even on the vast red moon planet, there weren't many of them. Now he was asking for several of them. How could he not be demanding an exorbitant price? You said you wanted to pay for her. This is the price. She's a princess, not an ordinary member of the Death Clan. If you can get her with an ordinary price, give her to me, and I'll pay for her. Tian Shengfeng wore a sarcastic look on his face. It was obvious that he wanted to humiliate him. He wouldn't attack Yi Tianyun, but it wouldn't be a problem for him to humiliate him. He didn't believe Yi Tianyun would start a family war because of this. It seems we can't make a deal. So, forget it, Yi Tianyun said calmly, I'll just ask you a few questions. I won't say anything else. Fine. Don't ask me a few questions. You can ask me dozens of questions. I'm curious to see what you can do. Tian Shengfeng crossed his arms, as if he was waiting for a good show. Tian Yuming and the others didn't say anything. They just watched from the side. Your younger sister is in my hands, Yi Tianyun suddenly said. Kong Shengming's calm expression finally changed a little. She stared at Yi Tianyun and said, I advise you not to act recklessly. Anger and murderous intent filled the depths of her eyes. The dark energy in her body surged. However, it was firmly sealed by the cage, and the energy couldn't spread out. It had to be said that she was quite powerful. She was a early-stage star venerable, much stronger than Kong Yeyue. However, she was still captured despite her cultivation. She was in a bad state. She was obviously injured. Otherwise, she wouldn't have been captured so easily. Everyone was attracted by Yi Tianyun's words. Capturing Kong Shengming's younger sister was not a simple matter. Great. You captured the younger sister of a princess, and now you're targeting us? Tian Shengfeng was getting more and more annoyed. He had the Death Clan, yet he still came here to mess around. Actually, I lied to her. I didn't capture her younger sister at all. Yi Tianyun shrugged his shoulders. Didn't you say that I couldn't get anything out of her? Now I get it out of her. She has a younger sister. Tian Shengfeng was so frustrated that he wanted to vomit blood. It seemed that it was true. Kong Shengming stared at him for a while, then fell silent again. She didn't move. She hoped that Yi Tianyun was really lying to her. Looks like I can't get anything out of her. I'll leave now. Yi Tianyun quickly set up the teleportation sign and got ready to leave. Chapter 2185. If Yi Tianyun wanted to leave, they would come to stop him. Yi Tianyun's face is indifferent. This situation is not unexpected, and he doesn't panic. Everything was within his expectations. Even if they attacked immediately, he wouldn't be surprised at all. What? Do you want to silence us? Yi Tianyun asked calmly. I wouldn't go so far as to silence you. However, our Tian family is not a place where you can come and go as you please. We allowed you to come in and take a look. If you leave just like that, wouldn't our Tian family suffer a great loss? Tian Yuming said calmly, our Tian family might not be the top 3 in Scarlet Moonstar, but it is definitely in the top 5. What do you want to do then? Yi Tianyun asked. It's simple. We will form an alliance. We don't know what force you are from, but I don't think it will be too weak. Tian Yuming suggested, I believe you know that the Purple Gold Divinity Pavilion is about to appear. How about we join forces when the time comes? Tian Yuming started to rope in Yi Tianyun. He seemed to have thought of something and decided to join forces with Yi Tianyun. He did not have a good impression of Yi Tianyun at first. However, he had probably thought of something during the process and decided to join forces with Yi Tianyun. In other words, you want to use the alliance as the price. Yi Tianyun squinted his eyes at him. No, to be precise, this is something I came up with on the spur of the moment. Our Tian family is not weak. Do you think we will mistreat you if you form an alliance with us? Tian Yuming said, I only wish for our 2 clans to obtain more benefits from the Purple Gold Divine Pavilion. What about the Liu family? Yi Tianyun asked. The Liu family? Tian Yuming smiled faintly. Of course, the Liu family will also participate. If the 3 families act together, I believe that we will be able to take a large portion of the treasures that appear in the Purple Gold Divinity Pavilion. Towards the end, his eyes shone brightly. That kind of strong possessiveness and confidence really made people feel a great shock. After all, the Tian family's forces were not bad. If they teamed up, it would be a win-win situation. Of course, this was under the premise that he would not be stabbed. What if I refuse? Yi Tianyun smiled. If you refuse, we won't force you. Hand over a galaxy-grade treasure, and you can leave. Tian Yueming's attitude gradually turned cold. That's not a high request, is it? At least we let you in, and in our secret room. To let you leave so casually, isn't that not taking our Tian family seriously? Tian Yueming's request wasn't excessive, but it wasn't kind either. But what if I were to say that I'm alone, without any backing? Yi Tianyun said indifferently. Yi Tianyun's words startled them. They really hadn't thought about this problem. Could an independent cultivator outside cultivate to the level of a Grand Star Venerable? They did not believe this. If he wanted to break through to the Grand Star Venerable realm, talent alone was not enough. He needed a huge amount of resources. Otherwise, he would not be able to improve. They all knew this. Only by using all kinds of divine medicines could he improve his cultivation. Otherwise, how could he improve? For the first time, they felt that Yi Tianyun was lying to them. Friend, it's meaningless to say this. We don't believe you don't have any backing, Tian Yuming said, shaking his head. In fact, it was true that Yi Tianyun was strong. However, compared to the Tian family, he was much weaker. They could not be compared at all. In such a situation, even if he cooperated sincerely, he would not be able to go against the upper echelons. I do have a backing, but it's too weak. I built it all by myself. In such a situation, it's no different from saying that I'm alone. Yi Tianyun was not lying. They looked at Yi Tianyun. They believed him, but they did not believe that Yi Tianyun did not have any powerful support. It was not uncommon for some clans' experts to go out and establish their own sects. Seeing their doubtful expressions, Yi Tianyun said with a smile, if you don't mind, I plan to join you. I wonder if you will agree. Since the other party had invited him, he decided to agree. He was very willing to have someone open a path for him. Especially with a great clan's help. Why wouldn't he reap the benefits? However, the situation was not that simple. If he schemed against the Tian family, wouldn't the Tian family schemed against him too? In the end, they were just using each other. Tian Yuming looked at him for a while and suddenly laughed. Haha, since you said so, let's cooperate. You are a Grand Star Venerable. You are so strong. It's a good choice to recruit you as an ally. Let's have a pleasant cooperation, Yi Tianyun said with a faint smile. Let's have a pleasant cooperation. Is there anything else you want to ask her? Tian Yueming's attitude became cordial. Not yet. Yi Tianyun didn't want to ask anything. He had just come to mark the teleportation point. Then please go upstairs. Our Tian family will treat you well. If you have any more questions, you can come down at any time, Tian Yuming said with a smile. Okay. I won't stand on ceremony. Yi Tianyun smiled. Then he ordered someone to take him upstairs. The three of them didn't leave. Second elder, what do you mean? Tian Shengfeng and the others were dumbfounded. They didn't know what Tian Yuming meant. Nothing. Isn't it a good thing to recruit cannon fodder? Tian Yuming said calmly, you know the situation of the purple gold divine pavilion. It's a good choice to send a Grand Star Venerable to die. Our Tian family isn't a place that can be entered easily. We can't be threatened. Towards the end, Tian Yueming's eyes were filled with killing intent. Send someone to investigate his identity. Investigate his identity thoroughly. Okay. The two of them understood immediately. No wonder Tian Yuming changed his mind. It turned out that he was thinking about the purple gold divine pavilion. It was a good thing to have a Grand Star Venerable to help them. Especially a Grand Star Venerable. It would be easier to make use of him. While they were making plans, Yi Tianyun was also making plans after going upstairs. This way, saving Kong Shengming would be much easier. He just had to stay here, and after he rescued Kong Shengming, no one would suspect him. You want to make use of me? I don't know who is making use of who. Yi Tianyun's eyes flashed. He knew what Tian Yuming was thinking. They were just making use of each other. It all depended on who made use of the other first. Chapter 2186. When Yi Tianyun returned to the VIP lounge, the Tian clan started to treat him with all kinds of wine and tea. They even provided him with all kinds of beauties. Yi Tianyun took all of them. He did not let any of them go. Since they were all given to him, he would not waste them. Of course, he did not care about the beauties. He was not interested in them. Yi Tianyun let Kong Yue out when he sensed that there was no one around. Young Master Yi, it will be difficult to save my elder sister. Kong Yue frowned. It was too difficult to save Kong Shengming with 3 Grand Star Venerables guarding below. If they made a move, they would be attacked by 3 Grand Star Venerables at once. It was not hard to imagine how difficult it would be. It's not difficult. Yi Tianyun said with a faint smile, leave it to me. Tell Kong Shengming so that she won't think I'm an enemy. However, your elder sister cares about you. She responded immediately when I mentioned your name. Of course my elder sister cares about me. Kong Yue's eyes were filled with worry. She was worried about her elder sister, too. But young Master Yi, how are you going to save her? There are so many Grand Star Venerables guarding below. It won't be easy to save my elder sister. Kong Yue was still worried about how to save her elder sister. Why don't we go back and discuss it? We can find our elders. If we can find them, we can come back to save her. Judging from the current situation, they won't attack my elder sister. It was not that Kong Yue did not trust Yi Tianyun. It was just that Yi Tianyun would be taking a risk if he went there with so many Grand Star Venerables. It seems that you don't trust me, Yi Tianyun said with a smile. It's too dangerous. Kong Yue shook her head and said, I told you before. I can't let young Master Yi take a risk. It's enough that you know where my elder sister is. Leave the rest to us. You've helped us a lot. We can't let young Master Yi take a risk. This isn't about risking your life. Have you forgotten how I saved you back then? Yi Tianyun said with a smile, the Liu clan is not as powerful as the Tian clan, but they have many Grand Star Venerables. I sneaked in anyway. That's true. But there are so many Grand Star Venerables down there. When will they come out? Kong Yue frowned and said, if they don't come out, we won't have a chance either. Especially after we sneak in and discover that they're still there, then we'll have made a wasted trip. This was undoubtedly the most awkward situation. They had gone through so much trouble to sneak in, but they were still stuck inside. How were they supposed to save them? Tianyun, of the Tianyun of Tianyun, said of venerables was wood. Tianyun but. Kong Yeue wanted to say something, but she stopped when she saw Yi Tianyun's confident look. Thank you, young Master Yi. If you can save my elder sister and help the Death Clan, I'm willing to serve you for the rest of my life. Kong Yeue was just like Hong Yuan. She was willing to sacrifice herself for the Death Clan. Sacrificing oneself could save the entire Death Clan. That was very worthwhile. Yi Tianyun appreciates this kind of teamwork. That's a good idea. But that's not all I'm asking for, said Yi Tianyun with a faint smile. What do you mean? Kong Yeue was stunned. She did not know what Yi Tianyun meant. Yi Tianyun said calmly, saving you is related to me. You'll know in the future. Our Death Clan is related to young Master Yi? Kong Yeue seemed to have thought of something, but she could not figure it out. Let's not talk anymore. Get ready to act. Yi Tianyun gestured to her not to ask any more questions. Instead, he hid in his body space. He stayed here for a period of time until they left. Through the super appraisal eye, he could easily see the situation over there. He could clearly see who was in the vicinity of Kong Shengming. Now, the three of them had finally left. Feeling that they could not get any more information, they could only leave for the time being. Perhaps it was to think of other ways. When they left, Yi Tianyun would be able to act quickly. Taking advantage of this gap, he had to act quickly. Kong Yeue was stunned. She did not expect him to act so quickly. Didn't he check the surroundings first? For example, checking the surroundings to see if Tian Shengfeng and the others had returned. But Yi Tianyun had been staying here the whole time. Why did he act so quickly? Before she could react, Yi Tianyun had already pulled her into his body space. Then, he used the super teleportation godstone to quickly arrive at the secret room. It could ignore all kinds of restrictions, and all kinds of restrictions were ineffective. It would be great if he could use the ordinary teleportation godstone. Unfortunately, he could not use the ordinary teleportation godstone. The powerful restrictions could not teleport over. He could only use the super teleportation godstone. In an instant, he arrived at the secret room. This effect made Yi Tianyun very satisfied. If he could have a few more of these super teleportation godstones, he would be able to teleport at will. Now that he had used it once, it would be one less time. The sudden appearance of Yi Tianyun in the secret room stunned Kong Shengming. She did not expect that Yi Tianyun would suddenly appear in front of her. Yi Tianyun observed the cage quickly, trying to figure out how to break it. He had to admit that it would be very difficult to break it. Since Kong Shengming had a higher cultivation, it would take some effort to seal her. It would not be as easy as locking up Kong Yeue. Kong Yeue was just using absolute speech law to imprison her. Kong Shengjue's cultivation was at the level of a great star venerable. If she used absolute speech law to imprison her, wouldn't it be easily broken? Then Yi Tianyun released Kong Yeue. When Kong Yeue showed up, both of them were stunned. Kong Shengming did not expect her younger sister to show up here. Kong Yeue did not expect her to come in so quickly. Everything happened in an instant. She did not even know what was going on. She had snuck in. Say something. Yi Tianyun gestured to Kong Yeue to say something. He did not want her to stand there in a daze. Time was pressing. If the elders came to find him, it would be troublesome. Right now, his super appraisal eyes were constantly observing their situation. He found that they were discussing this matter in the sacred hall. Fortunately, they did not come to him. Otherwise, he would have to leave immediately. However, given the current situation, Tian Yuming and the others would invite him over soon. Elder sister, we are coming to save you now. Kong Yeue said after coming to herself, he is our helper. He snuck in to save you. Kong Yeue explained the general situation to Yi Tianyun, so that she could help him better. Chapter 2187. Kong Shengming did not say anything more. Since her younger sister had said so, she would not ask for more details. The more she asked, the more time would be wasted, and the more difficult it would be to act. Although she had a lot of questions in her mind, such as why Kong Yeue was with Yi Tianyun, or how did Yi Tianyun come here before, she didn't ask any of them. She just wanted to ask them when they came out. How much power can you exert now? Yi Tianyun asked. I'm confined now. I can only exert the power of an average star venerable. I can't exert any power higher than that. Kong Shengming pondered for a moment before continuing. I have some ideas about the confinement array here. Currently, I can only see the eye of the array. It will take some time to break it. But it will take me a long time to crack it. I don't know when they will come down. Kong Shengming told him what she knew, so that Yi Tianyun could make a decision. At the same time, she pointed out where the formation eye was so that Yi Tianyun could know where it was. Yi Tianyun nodded and said with a faint smile, I know. But that is not the point. You just need to cooperate with me. When I start to crack the formation eye, you keep attacking for me. If we work together, we can crack the formation eye faster. But I have only found one formation eye. What about the others? Kong Shengming asked, confused. I have found all the other formation eyes, Yi Tianyun explained. Kong Shengming and Kong Yeyue were shocked. What is going on? How long has it been? Yi Tianyun has found all the formation eyes. Yi Tianyun had never met them before. He had only stayed here for a while. Kong Shengming had found one formation eye only because she was trapped here. She had to use her spare time to find it. It took her a lot of effort. But now, Yi Tianyun was telling them that he had found all the array cores. Was this a joke? Yi Tianyun did not care about their thoughts. He took a step forward and arrived in front of one of the formation cores. This formation core was also the one that Kong Shengming had pointed out. He could see that he could easily find it just by relying on his appraisal eyes. All this time, he had been able to easily find the eye of the formation. However, finding it was one thing, and whether or not he could break it was another. Right now, he was only a rank 3-star inscription master. Although it was difficult for him to break the seal, he could still level up. Coincidentally, he had quite a lot of star energy right now, so advancing to the rank of an astral tattoo master was not a problem at all. Raise my astral rune master rank. Ding. After deducting star energy, astral inscription master has been successfully promoted to rank 4. At first, he didn't want to level up. However, the lowest standard here is level 4. The foundation of the Tian family isn't bad. Get ready to start. When I tell you to attack, attack quickly. Understand? Yi Tianyun's tone became serious. This was a race against time. Once he started to break the array, Tian Yuming and the others would definitely notice it and rush over. If he couldn't break the array before they arrived, it would be a failure. Yi Tianyun couldn't teleport in. The super teleportation stone had a drawback, and that was it could only be used to set coordinates in the area where he was standing. If he could directly set the coordinates in the cage, he would be invincible. He could directly teleport in and quickly bring the person away. However, he couldn't do that. He could only set the coordinates outside. If one day he had such a special super teleportation stone, he would be invincible. Understood. Kong Shengming nodded. Then what do I need to do? Kong Yeyue asked from the side. You don't need to do anything. Just leave the matters here to the two of us. Yi Tianyun shook his head. All right. Kong Yeyue was a little disappointed. She thought that she could help, but who knew that she didn't need to do anything? She hoped that she could be of some help. After all, the person locked inside was her sister. However, since Yi Tianyun had said so, she could only give up. Are you ready? Yi Tianyun looked at Kong Shengming with a sharp gaze. This isn't an easy task. Thus, everything must be done without any mistakes. If there's any mistake, they would fall into a state of failure. I'm ready. Kong Shengming nodded. Yi Tianyun nodded. He immediately aimed at one of the array cores and began to break it. His speed was pushed to the maximum. Even his crazy mode was activated, causing his breaking speed to increase by 25 times. The breaking speed was 25 times faster than normal, which made them dizzy. This breaking speed was really too fast. They had never seen such a fast breaking speed. In the blink of an eye, more than half of the array cores were broken. In 2 blinks of an eye, the array was almost broken. At this time, Yi Tianyun quickly moved to the next array core. At the same time, he said to Kong Shengming, "Start to attack that array core." Only then did Kong Shengming react, and he quickly started to destroy the formation core. After a series of fierce attacks, the array core was easily destroyed. These array cores require some external force from the inside. Then, it would be easier to destroy them completely. Most importantly, it would be much faster if external force was needed to destroy them. If it was purely based on breaking, the speed would not be slow. However, compared to the attacks from the inside, it would still be slower. While she was destroying the array core, Yi Tianyun was almost breaking another array core. "Come on." Yi Tianyun moved to the next array core at an amazing speed. Kong Shengming and the others were stunned for a while. They felt that it was too fast. Almost in an instant, Yi Tianyun had broken all the array cores. Just as he said, he had found all the array cores. They were shocked by his ability to find the array cores so accurately. Along the way, the array cores were destroyed one after another. It was just a short time. At the same time, Tian Yuming quickly sensed that the array cores were destroyed. At first, he did not care much about it. In his opinion, it should be Kong Shengming who was destroying the array cores and trying to sneak out. However, he was very confident in his array and felt that Kong Shengming would not destroy it. Just when he thought that everything was fine, he felt that the array core was destroyed in a short time, and the next one was destroyed quickly. This made him extremely shocked. He immediately stood up and said, "Several array cores have been destroyed in a row." Tian Shengfeng and the others were stunned and did not know how to react. Several array cores had been destroyed in such a short time. What kind of ability was that? Could it be that Kong Shengming still had some unknown power that would burst out when they were away? Chapter 2188. Tian Yuming and the others dashed down as fast as they could. They arrived in front of the treasury in an instant and opened the gate quickly. However, the speed at which the gate was opening was rather slow. It could only be opened bit by bit, which really made them unhappy. They had never thought the gate would open so slowly. "Don't worry. Even if she breaks the prison formation, she will still be trapped in the treasury. There is only one passage in the treasury. If she wants to escape, she will have to go through it." Tian Yuming had panicked at first. After all, he had spent a lot of effort to set up the formation, but it had been broken so quickly. No matter what, he was still a little nervous. However, when he calmed down, he found there was no need to be so nervous. There was only one passage. Why should he be so nervous? Kong Shengming was a Grand Star Venerable, but they had 3 Grand Star Venerables. Besides, they had a large number of experts outside and the support of the formation. In such circumstances, even if Kong Shengming was a late-stage Star Venerable, she would still be able to keep her here. Therefore, they calmed down after thinking about it for a while. It's just that the speed at which she broke them is too fast. Could it be that she took advantage of the fact that we weren't around to investigate all the array cores? Tian Yuming frowned. He was very confident in his own abilities as a Star Rune Master. Even if he wanted to find the eye of the formation, it would take a very long time. Even if they found the formation eyes, it would take them a long time to break the formation eyes. However, they had not expected it to be broken in such a short time. During this period of time, almost all of the array cores had been destroyed. There was only one last array core left. It's too fast. It's too fast. This is simply a miracle among star inscriptionists. Even an extremely high-level star inscriptionist wouldn't be able to break through it so quickly. We must completely control this princess of the Death Clan. Tian Yueming's eyes were filled with greed. Right now, he was thinking about how to control Kong Shengming. They had to use some special methods to turn her into a puppet. Even if she was a puppet without her own soul, they still had such a method. However, they would have to pay a high price to do so. Of course, they thought it was worth it to deal with Kong Shengming. That's too fast. It's a pity that when she escapes and finds out that we're all waiting outside, her expression will be so laughable. Tian Shengfeng laughed out loud. He had spent so much effort to escape, only to see them waiting outside. What was the difference between this and not escaping at all? If that was the case, he might as well stay in the cage obediently, and he wouldn't have to waste so much energy. If he dared to play like this without a foolproof plan, it would be a waste of effort. After they opened the door, they walked in unhurriedly. After thinking it through, they were naturally not so worried. When they arrived outside the gate, they did not rush to push the door open. Instead, they stood outside the gate, ready to grab anything. He was waiting for Kong Shengming to rush out and then he would control her. Is it done? Tian Shengfeng asked from the side. It's been destroyed a long time ago. Not long after we entered, it was already destroyed. It's just that she hasn't rushed out yet. She's probably resting inside or preparing something. Tian Yuming said indifferently, we'll wait outside and see when she comes out. The three of them nodded. Then they started to wait. However, after they had waited for a while, Kong Shengming still hadn't come out. They did not know what she was doing outside. Has she stayed inside for too long? Is she going to ambush us inside? They were all confused. Theoretically, after breaking the formation, she should have escaped immediately. If she hadn't escaped, what was the point of breaking the formation? It's possible. She probably thinks it's easy to be ambushed if she escaped directly. So she just hides inside and waits for us to go in. Then she can ambush us. Tian Shengfeng nodded. He thought that was the case. Fine. Let's go in directly. It's meaningless to stay outside, Tian Yuming said with a cold smile. Let's go in together and see what kind of ambush she has. I want to see what she's capable of. The other two-star venerables nodded. They were ready to go in together. Then Tian Yuming pushed the gate open and went in with his men. After they rushed in, they found that there was not a single person inside. Everything was empty, not to mention an ambush, there was no one there. How could they catch her? What's going on? Where is she? They were all dumbfounded. They had thought Kong Shengming was hiding there to ambush them. It turned out they had thought too much. She had disappeared. Is she hiding outside? Tian Shengfeng said, frowning. You go there and look for her. I'll check the room here. I'll see if there's any special ability hiding here. Tian Yueming's voice became cold. He would not allow such a thing to happen. They had finally caught the princess. How could they let her go? Then they started to look for Kong Shengming. After looking around, they had checked every corner and every detail. However, they had not found her. There was not even a trace of her aura. She really disappeared. She completely disappeared. They were all dumbfounded. They had thought they could watch the show from outside. Now, they were the ones being watched. How did she do it? Does she have some special treasures? But that's not right. We've found all her treasures. There's nothing there. Did she open the gate of death? Impossible. If she opened the gate of death, not only would her aura come out, but she would also not be able to enter the gate of death. Entering the gate of death is no different from dying. Tian Yuming shook his head. He knew what the gate of death represented. A living person entering it was no different from courting death. If that's not the case, where is she? They did not know how to explain. No matter what, she had disappeared. All their efforts had been in vain. While they were confused and angry, Yi Tianyun had already brought his people back to the room. There was no pressure at all. When he saw them standing guard outside the door, he laughed out loud. If he had known that they were lying in ambush outside, he would not have been so anxious. He could have taken his time. They had been guarding outside for a long time. If they were to break the formation, they could break 2 or 3 more. This was not an exaggeration. It was indeed so. They had been guarding outside for a long time. They did not rush in. However, it had nothing to do with him. Before they came in, Yi Tianyun had already broken the formation. Chapter 2189. After Kong Shengming and Kong Yeyue talked for a while, they gradually calmed down and looked at Yi Tianyun. Thank you, young Master Yi, for saving me. If it weren't for you, I'm afraid I wouldn't have been able to get out. Kong Shengming was very grateful. She was even more grateful when she learned that Yi Tianyun had saved many of her clansmen. This is what Miss Kong Yeyue asked me to do, and due to the seriousness of the situation, I decided to save you. If someone uses you to open the door of death, my forces will also be affected. Yi Tianyun smiled faintly. Besides, I have some relationship with the Death Clan. Young Master Yi has some relationship with our Death Clan? Kong Shengming was a little puzzled. She didn't know Yi Tianyun, and this was the first time she met him. Kong Yeyue looked over. She was curious about why Yi Tianyun said that, but Yi Tianyun didn't explain, so she didn't quite understand what he meant. Yi Tianyun still kept them in suspense. Let's not talk about this for now. You will know in the future. He still didn't intend to say it. He still had to continue to investigate the Death Clan's situation. It was better not to expose it until the critical moment. This way, he could see more things. If he was exposed, the Death Clan would definitely be very respectful. This way, he wouldn't be able to see more of the real situation. Now, he could see a lot of the Death Clan's situation, such as the spirit of living and dying together. Since Yi Tianyun said so, even if they were curious, they could only suppress it. Young Master Yi, you are really mysterious. Kong Shengming looked at Yi Tianyun deeply. She didn't know what Yi Tianyun was planning, but she felt that he should have some special purpose. Otherwise, why would he be so proactive and even take such risks? If he wanted to resurrect his own people, saving one or two would be enough. Why would he help so much? Did he want the Death Clan to submit to his forces? This was obviously impossible. It was impossible for them to join any force. No matter what force it was, they didn't intend to join. I still need to have a little sense of mystery. Yi Tianyun laughed and said, let's go save the others, it's time to leave this place. But before that, I still have to deal with some people. Yi Tianyun narrowed his eyes and quickly stored them into the space within his body. Following that, Tian Yueming's deep voice came from outside. I wonder if my friend can come out to meet me. Yi Tianyun pushed open the door and saw Tian Yuming waiting outside. There were also guards beside him. These guards were there to keep an eye on him, to prevent him from leaving the gate at will. What's wrong? Yi Tianyun walked out calmly. Besides you, is there anyone else who knows that our Tian family has captured the princess of the Death Clan? Tian Yuming asked directly. There aren't many people who know about it, but there aren't few either. However, I have a good relationship with them. As long as I make them shut their mouths, they won't expose the situation here. Yi Tianyun casually made up an excuse. If anyone really knew that Kong Shengming was imprisoned here, no one would know about it. The Tian family had done it flawlessly, and no information was leaked. Don't worry. After I go back, I will ask them not to spread the news. After all, we have formed an alliance. No matter what, we cannot let our allies be affected. I wonder if there are any other questions? Yi Tianyun squinted his eyes at them. No. Tian Yuming still wanted to ask a lot of questions, but he found it unnecessary. Even if Yi Tianyun told the outside world that they had the princess of the Death Clan here, they would still have to go through many layers of seals to enter the treasury to rescue her. From the beginning until now, they hadn't found anything. Moreover, no one had sneaked in from the outside. There was no information at all. She just disappeared into thin air. At first, they wanted to ask if it was Yi Tianyun's doing. After all, he was the only one who knew about it. Now that they thought about it carefully, it didn't seem to be the case. They didn't believe that someone could hide from so many eyes and enter the treasury so easily. Unless that person's cultivation was higher than a Grand Star Venerable's. However, if that person had reached such a level, he could probably crush them easily. Why would he sneak in? He could just kill them openly and suppress them. That's good. If there's anything else, just ask me. Yi Tianyun thought for a while and asked, by the way, I want to ask about the princess again. Can I go down there? I can't for the time being. She's in a rather chaotic state. It's better not to meet her. I won't be able to get any information from her. Tian Yuming lied. He didn't want Yi Tianyun to know that Kong Shengming had disappeared. Okay. If that's the case, I won't stay here any longer. I'll go back and tell them about the situation here. Yi Tianyun found an excuse to leave. Okay. We'll meet again when the Purple Gold Divine Pavilion opens, Tian Yuming said with a faint smile. He didn't try to persuade Yi Tianyun to stay. He was worried that if Yi Tianyun stayed here and discovered that Kong Shengming was not there, it would be funny. He had promised Yi Tianyun that he would satisfy his request to see Kong Shengming at any time. If Kong Shengming disappeared, how could they explain it to him? Then I'll take my leave. Yi Tianyun cupped his fists and smiled. Then he left. They didn't try to persuade him to stay. They had wanted to persuade Yi Tianyun to stay and find out more about him. But now, they let him go in advance. They wanted to let Yi Tianyun leave first. As for whether they could find out Yi Tianyun's identity, it would be difficult. Yi Tianyun wasn't from the Red Moon planet. Plus, his face had changed. It wasn't easy to recognize him. Most importantly, he hadn't exposed anything. Even on the desolate dragon planet, no one knew he had become a Grand Star Venerable. They started by investigating Grand Star Venerables to see if there was someone like that. Keep looking. I don't believe she left no trace of her aura. Tian Yuming turned around and continued to search for Kong Shengming's aura. He couldn't just let her disappear like that. Yi Tianyun didn't see Tian Yuan and Tian Xinghuan on his way out. It seemed they hadn't been captured. After all, they were 2 Grand Star Venerables. Normally, it would not be easy to capture them. Just as he was about to leave, he saw a familiar face walking in from outside. It was Tian Kuangyue, the Grand Star Venerable who had been chasing Tian Xinghuan. When he passed by Yi Tianyun, his eyes lingered on Yi Tianyun's face for a while. He couldn't see Yi Tianyun's face clearly. Strange. How did this guy cover his face? Never mind. It's better not to bother with this kind of person. Tian Kuangyue left after a glance. He didn't look into it. Yi Tianyun also looked at him with a faint smile. This guy is really lucky. If Tian Yuan didn't let him go, Yi Tianyun would have already killed him. Chapter 2190. After saving a crucial person like Kong Shengming, he would leave this place to save the next member of the Death Clan. Although it was still urgent, at least he had saved Kong Shengming, and the Death Gate would not be opened by force. Then Yi Tianyun used the super appraisal eye to look for the next member of the Death Clan. He could find him easily as long as he told him his name. After telling him his name, he quickly found the place where he was being held. As expected, he was imprisoned by a family and sealed off by layers of seals. However, this family was relatively weak. The strongest member was only a Star Venerable. They must have been lucky enough to capture a member of the Death Clan in time. The Death Clan could detect their clansmen, but they could not detect them as long as they blocked it slightly. Even a simple shielding formation could cut off the detection. One had to admit that the detection ability was only effective when it was not blocked. Even a small shielding formation would lose its effect immediately. One had to admit that the detection ability was quite weak. Even a family with only Star Venerables could block their detection easily. This was quite ordinary. Since the family was relatively weak, Yi Tianyun used a simple and violent method. He suppressed them with the power of a Grand Star Venerable. The result was predictable. They immediately cried and knelt down, begging for mercy. As soon as Yi Tianyun mentioned the Death Clan, they immediately offered it to Yi Tianyun without hesitation. This was the benefit of being strong. They could easily make their opponents offer them up. After easily saving a member of the Death Clan, Yang Ling went on to save another member of the Death Clan. He only needed to tell them their names, and he could easily find them and save them. Fortunately, it was only a small family that captured members of the Death Clan. If it were a big family, it would have taken some effort. As Yang Ling kept solving them, he finally encountered a slightly bigger family. This time, he sent the entire Death Clan to put pressure on them. They had 2 Grand Star Venerables, and the rest were all powerful Star Venerables. Even the bigger families had to compromise. Since the Death Clan had come in person, they could only compromise. When they handed over the people, they said they hoped they would pay a price, such as resurrecting their relatives. It was meaningless to talk about this now. If they had a better attitude, they might still have a chance, but now it was completely impossible. After rescuing them, he quickly rushed to the next location. The news of them moving out together would definitely spread. At that time, there would definitely be big clans coming to surround them. They weren't afraid of the Death Clan, but they were afraid that there would be no Death Clan to capture. No matter how strong the Death Clan was, they were only a small group of people. To them, there was nothing to worry about. Fortunately, most of the people were rescued. Those who were caught outside were only a few, not the majority. Basically all of them have been rescued. Now, the news of your death clan going out to rescue people has really spread. After Yi Tianyun gathered all the members of the death clan, he said to Kong Shengming and the others with a serious expression, according to the investigation, they are all crazy, and they are constantly looking for you. It seems that you are really in high demand, and they are all rushing over to snatch you. When we decided to go out together, we already knew the result, didn't we? Kong Shengming showed a smile, speaking of which, young Master Yi is really the savior of our death clan. Not only can you find our clansmen, but you have also been helping us. We don't know how to thank you. Sister, I'm sorry. Kong Yewe stood up and said solemnly, before this, I promised that as long as young Master Yi saved all our clansmen, I am willing to serve him for the rest of my life. She chose to stand by Yi Tianyun's side, and now Yi Tianyun had saved all the death clan. Maybe there were some who were wandering outside, but those were either elders or dead, and they couldn't be found for the time being. For now, they had basically found all the people that could be found. Of course, in terms of the task, he did not complete it. As long as the elders were not found, the task could not be said to be completed. I also said before that I am willing to follow him. Hong Yuan also stood up. He also said before that as long as Yi Tianyun saved the princess, he would follow Yi Tianyun and be at his beck and call. The two of them stood by Yi Tianyun's side, as if to express the price that Yi Tianyun had paid to save them. Kong Shengming's expression changed, and she looked at Yi Tianyun and said, Young Master Yi, I wonder if it is possible to use other things as the price to replace them. For example, I can help you resurrect many of your relatives, and even the souls of great star venerables. As long as their souls are not broken or reincarnated, I can resurrect them. Kong Shengming did not want to see her sister leave with another man. Even though Yi Tianyun had saved them, she did not want her sister to sacrifice herself like this. Sister, do you think this can replace the reward? Kong Yeyue had a complicated look in her eyes. She was not willing to leave the death clan, but if she really had to serve Yi Tianyun for the rest of her life, she could accept it. After all, she was very satisfied with Yi Tianyun's character. Kong Shengming shook her head and grabbed her sister. She said in a deep voice, absolutely not. The price is too high. You need to have your own life, and not serve someone all the time, even if he is our benefactor. We can use other rewards, such as resurrecting more people and giving more treasures. The foundation of the death clan is not bad. She was still not willing to give up. She did not want her sister to leave her like this. I am sorry, sister. I promised you before, and I cannot break my promise. Kong Yeyue shook her head. This. Kong Shengming was stunned. Then she sighed deeply and looked at Yi Tianyun with a complicated look in her eyes. She said, then, please take care of my sister. The rest of the death clan looked at each other. They all wanted to say a few words, but since Kong Yeyue had said so, what else could they say? They only hoped that Yi Tianyun would treat Kong Yeyue and Hong Yuan well. That. Did I ask you to do this? I said from the beginning that you don't need to serve me. Yi Tianyun spread out his hands and signaled them to stop arguing. This, young Master Yi, do you not like me? Kong Yeyue was a little anxious. Did Yi Tianyun have other needs? That's not it. I have said before that the death clan has some relationship with me. Yi Tianyun said with a smile, it is not convenient to reveal it now, but I can feel your sincerity. Before that, why don't we discuss how to save your elders? Chapter 2191. The task that Yi Tianyun needed to complete was to take all of them under his command. This meant that he had the entire death clan, so he had to save everyone. They could all belong to him, so he definitely couldn't waste any of them. As for serving him, as long as the death clan continued to serve the five-colored emperor dragon, it was equivalent to serving him. If everyone were to serve him, then why was there a need to discuss whether Hong Yuan and Kong Yeyue should serve him? Find the elders. Young Master Yi, can you help us find where the elders are? Kong Shengming and the others were surprised. They were most worried about the whereabouts of the elders, and the most important thing was the clan leader. Have you forgotten my ability to find people? As long as I pay a small price, I can still find them. Yi Tianyun smiled and said, "That's right, I almost forgot. Young Master Yi's ability to find people is not weak. He easily found our people. Then we will leave it to young Master Yi. We will definitely repay you well in the future. The elders control more resources, and we can satisfy your needs." Kong Shengming and the others were surprised and happy about this ability. They were shocked that it was so easy to find them. On the other hand, even if they hid in the future, they could be easily found. It meant that their own hiding place would be meaningless. Fortunately, Yi Tianyun was not hostile to them, so it was not a big deal to know. If the enemy's hiding place could be easily found, it would be terrifying. Yi Tianyun smiled and did not continue to talk about the reward. In their opinion, the only way to repay Yi Tianyun is to pay him back. They don't know how else to repay him. Tell me their names, and let me sense their location through their names. Yi Tianyun said it very straightforwardly. In fact, he had searched for so many people, and every time he just asked them to tell him their names, then he could find them. They must have guessed it. It was through the names. As long as one was not a fool, they would be able to guess it. Now that he said it so straightforwardly, they did not point it out and continued to say the names. Needless to say, this was beyond their common sense. They had heard of using things like blood or treasures in their possession to search for their location. He had never heard of anyone being able to find someone just by using their name. There were more than 10 million people with the same name. How could he tell them apart? They did not ask about this point of confusion. These secret techniques were not passed down, so they naturally wouldn't ask what they shouldn't ask. They only needed to know the result and didn't need to care about anything else. Also, he was worried that the price would be too high. But no matter how high it was, he could only use it. He could only say that it was time to make up for it. After telling him the name, Yi Tianyun began to meditate and search. In fact, there was no need for him to do this. He was just putting on an act to prevent others from thinking that he could easily find everything. After searching for a while, Yi Tianyun's expression suddenly changed. He quickly stood up and his expression became extremely serious. "Young Master Yi, what's wrong?" Their hearts skipped a beat as they felt an extremely bad premonition. As far as the situation is concerned, it is indeed rather complicated. No wonder you couldn't sense them and didn't know where they went. Yi Tianyun shook his head and smiled bitterly. They are now trapped in the door of death. You said that you can sense them? What? Trapped in the door of death? They were immediately startled. No matter how much they thought about it, they never thought that their elder would be trapped in the door of death. "Clan, where's the clan leader?" Kong Shengming asked nervously. She and Kong Yeyue were most concerned about the clan leader. The clan leader was their father. Everyone else, including your mother, is trapped in the door of death. The situation is not too good now. They are trapped by a force and can't come out. As for the surrounding situation, there are no enemies but there are a lot of vengeful spirits. Yi Tianyun's super appraisal eyes could only see so much. He could only find out more details when he went over. Door of death. They went to the door of death. Kong Shengming and the others murmured. The door of death was a taboo for them. They could not enter it casually under normal circumstances. Entering it was equivalent to dying. Even though they were known as the Death Clan, they could not enter the door of death casually. All the elders and the clan leader had entered the door of death. They would not enter the door of death unless it was extremely dangerous. What do you think now? Should we enter the door of death to look for them? Yi Tianyun asked while looking at Kong Shengming and the others. The door of death. We will definitely die if we enter it with our strength. Even a Grand Star Venerable can only stay there for a while. If we stay there for a long time, we will definitely die. Kong Shengming smiled bitterly. She had not expected it to be the door of death. How could this guy save them? Is the door of death really that terrifying? Yi Tianyun was a little curious. There are the souls of many Grand Star Venerables inside. We can even meet Divine Star Venerables who are stronger than Grand Star Venerables. Even in their soul state, they are extremely terrifying. If they invade, the best case scenario is that their soul will be severely injured. In the worst case scenario, their body will be possessed and they will completely collapse, Kong Shengming said with a bitter smile. Divine Star Venerables. Yi Tianyun's face darkened. Divine Star Venerables were stronger than Grand Star Venerables. There was not a single Divine Star Venerable on the entire Crimson Moon planet. Of course, it was possible that Divine Star Venerables could not be bothered with the outside world and had been hiding. However, the souls of Divine Star Venerables were inside the door of death. That was extremely terrifying. Of course, even if we don't meet Divine Star Venerables, there are many souls of Grand Star Venerables. Therefore, those with cultivation lower than Grand Star Venerables will basically be courting death if they enter. Kong Shengming looked at Yi Tianyun and said, if we go in, only the two of us can go in. The others can only stay outside. Sister, you two aren't really planning to enter the door of death to save people, are you? Kong Yeyue and the others' expressions changed. That was an extremely dangerous area. Wouldn't entering casually be courting death? Other than that, do we have any other way? Kong Shengming sighed and said, the Patriarch and the others are trapped inside. They should need some external help. At the very least, we have to check and see how we can help. But if it's opened once, it'll take a while before it can be opened again, Kong Yeyue hurriedly said. I can only say that we have to hold on. Kong Shengming looked at Yi Tianyun and said, I just don't know if young Master Yi can help this time. This is a path of death. If young Master Yi refuses, I won't say anything. If you agree, when we rescue them, I'm willing to serve you forever in their place. Chapter 2192. Ahem, you don't have to say that. I'll agree to it. I already said that I was going to save your elder. Yi Tianyun quickly waved his hand. He just hoped that they would not use this method as a reward. No matter what, I've made up my mind. I understand what you're trying to say. There are some things that we should do. Kong Shengming's eyes were full of determination. Let's not talk about this. Speaking of which, how long do you need to wait before you can open the door of death again? Yi Tianyun asked. Not long. I need to wait for a year. But a year? Kong Shengming smiled bitterly. That will depend on our dodging skills and a bit of luck. If we are unlucky, we might even die in a few days, let alone a year. It can only be opened in a year. Yi Tianyun was not worried at all. After all, he had the door of death. Kong Shengming could not open it, but he could. Moreover, he had the super teleportation divine stone. He could set the coordinates there and teleport back. There was no need to worry about not being able to come back. Therefore, he had been especially calm when he knew they were going into the door of death. Even if he ran into a Divine Star Venerable, he could just teleport back immediately. Wasting an opportunity was better than losing his life. Yes. That's why we have to prepare a foolproof plan. However, we don't have what we need to prepare right now. Our clan has fallen, and many things have been taken away. Kong Shengming shook her head and sighed. We don't need to prepare anything. We just need to make arrangements for them. Yi Tianyun looked at Kong Yeyue and the others. Since they were not here, Kong Yeyue and the others would have to be careful. They would not be able to resist a few great star venerables. We'll be fine. As long as no one reveals our hiding spot, they won't find us. We've been hidden for so long without being found because we have good hiding skills. Kong Yeyue and the rest had absolute confidence. If there wasn't a traitor, how could they have been exposed? In that case, I'm relieved. Yi Tianyun nodded. Kong Shengming didn't express any opinion on this. She knew about her family's affairs and was extremely confident. Let's go now. There's nothing to prepare. Yi Tianyun looked at Kong Shengming and said, Young Master Yi, don't you need to prepare anything? For example, going back to give some instructions, or preparing something. She didn't say it too bluntly. This was a mission with a slim chance of survival. If she didn't go back and make arrangements in advance, if she died inside, then everything would be over. There's no need. I've never felt like I'm going to die. Yi Tianyun grinned. This was not an exaggeration. Just the fact that he could resurrect himself made him unafraid of death. Moreover, he had an escape technique, so there was no need to worry. At home, he had an avatar as a backup. Similarly, there was nothing to worry about. All right then. Kong Shengming didn't say much. Since Yi Tianyun said so, she didn't refute him. Mainly, she was still a little selfish in her heart. It would be great if someone could help her. If she went in alone, it would be extremely dangerous. It could even be said that there was no hope at all. Now, the only person they could trust was Yi Tianyun. As for the friends that they had contacted before, they didn't dare to contact them anymore. They had been cheated previously. Although they didn't know who it was that group of people. Now, Yi Tianyun was an outsider. But no matter what, he saved all of them. If this couldn't be trusted, then no one could be trusted. Or rather, with the current situation, even if they were cheated, they would accept it. After saving so many people, they were still cheated. Then they would accept it. Moreover, now that Yi Tianyun followed them into the door of death, there was nothing more to say. If he still betrayed them in such a situation, then he would really be resigned to his fate. Then, I will start opening the door of death now. As everything is random, I don't know where I will go. So, be prepared for battle. Kong Shengming's tone was extremely strict. Now that things had come to this, she had no choice but to be serious. All right, let's start. Yi Tianyun gestured for Kong Shengming to start. Kong Shengming nodded her head. She stretched out her hand and a dark force gushed out. Then, she drew a circle in front of her. Moments later, the void in front of her started to distort. Following this, a pitch-black door appeared in front of the crowd. A terrifying aura of death could be felt coming from the gap. At the same time, there were horrifying cries of ghosts and howls of wolves. These were the voices of vengeful spirits. It was so creepy to listen to. That was the real hell. There were vengeful spirits everywhere. If one was careless, they would be possessed by the spirits. The key point was that these souls would not be resurrected and would only cause your body to explode and devour your soul. One could imagine how painful it would be. Soon, the door of death opened a gap. Kong Shengming immediately said, "Now." As soon as she finished speaking, Kong Shengming took the lead and rushed forward. She was the first to rush into the door of death. Then, she followed closely behind Yi Tianyun. After the two of them entered, the door of death quickly closed. If they were any slower, vengeful spirits might rush out from inside. After they disappeared, Kong Yue and the rest were filled with worry. Many of them were praying in their hearts that Yi Tianyun and the rest would return safely. On the other side of the door of death, the void shook slightly. Then, two figures rushed out of the pitch-black door. These two people were Yi Tianyun and Kong Shengming. Just as the two of them came out, they were immediately surrounded by terrifying vengeful spirits. Yi Tianyun raised his head to look. He immediately discovered that there were countless vengeful spirits rushing towards them. The faces of these vengeful spirits could be seen clearly. Only one of them had a face and they were rushing over to bite them. Their attack method did not have any special techniques. They were purely pouncing over to bite them. The higher their cultivation, the faster their speed. It looked like they were biting. But if they got close, they would directly drill into the body and gnaw at the soul. Therefore, they could not let them get close. Once they got close, it would be a very troublesome matter. "Quickly retreat," Kong Shengming shouted. A terrifying dark power spread out in all directions. At the same time, a special power enveloped a few meters around them. When the vengeful spirits touched the power, they bounced to the side. Then, these malevolent vengeful spirits started to become confused. They floated away in all directions and no longer cared about the two of them. Fortunately, their cultivation is relatively low. Otherwise, they would not have left. Kong Shengming heaved a sigh of relief. At least their luck was not bad. Chapter 2193. Inside the death's door, Yi Tianyun thought that everything was empty and that it was filled with all kinds of vengeful spirits. In fact, looking around, there were still many planets nearby. However, these planets looked bare and pitch-black. There were no living creatures at all. Under such circumstances, it was impossible for there to be any living creatures. If there were, they would be eaten by these vengeful spirits. As long as it was a living creature, it would be eaten. Fortunately, the spirits themselves did not eat each other. They were moving in groups. They kept floating around, looking very strange. However, spirits were not everywhere. They did not fill up the entire space. There were still many empty areas. If there were so many vengeful spirits, it would be really scary. Of course, it was scary enough now. As long as there was a bit of life aura, they would rush over and eat it. Now, they were completely relying on Kong Shengming's ability to fill their surroundings with the aura of death, deceiving the other vengeful spirits and making them treat Yi Tianyun and Kong Shengming as their companions. As it was only effective on those with low cultivation, those with higher cultivation would not be deceived. It should be said that it could pass through the aura of death and feel the life aura in their bodies. To put it bluntly, it was stronger and could see more clearly. This area can only be entered through the death's door? Yi Tianyun looked around and asked. Based on what we know, this is the only way. With our senses, we were able to sense the passageway to this world. Then, we forcefully opened it and came over. Kong Shengming explained. Before looking for you, your sister said that someone might be interested in your ability to open the death's door. Does that mean that you can open the death's door forever? Yi Tianyun asked curiously. I can't open it forever. However, after I sacrifice my life, I can open it for a long time. If I open it for a long time, the outside world will be in chaos. I don't know how many vengeful spirits will rush out. Kong Shengming shook her head. Therefore, even if we die, we cannot be used to do such things. It will cause chaos in the outside world. There was one time in the past when I was forced to sacrifice myself. Fortunately, I stopped it in time. Otherwise, it would really be chaotic. There was one time in the past. Yi Tianyun was puzzled. We'll have to trace it back to the Great War that happened a long time ago. It was the war between Lord Five-Colored Emperor Dragon and the Giant Beast Clan. In order to win the war, the Giant Beast Clan captured our people and forcefully opened the Gate of Death. Fortunately, the Five-Colored Emperor Dragon arrived in time and forcefully closed the death's door. Otherwise, the consequences would be dire. Kong Shengming's eyes were filled with fascination. The giant beasts. Could it be the giant beasts who are behind this? Yi Tianyun's eyes flickered. That's unlikely. The giant beasts have long since disappeared. What's left are just some insignificant beasts. Kong Shengming shook her head. No. I went to a giant beast's territory before. It was full of beasts. There was even an extremely powerful late-stage star venerable beast. It was probably about to break through to the divine star venerable level. If I hadn't destroyed it a little, it might have really advanced to the divine star venerable level. Yi Tianyun's expression was solemn. After some speculation, it seemed to be related to the giant beasts. Only the giant beasts would want to forcefully open the death's door and cause chaos in the world. No family on planet Crimson Moon would have such an idea. They only wanted to use this power to resurrect their loved ones. After all, if they really released a large number of vengeful spirits, even they would suffer. They obviously wouldn't do that. If that's really the case, it's really possible. Kong Shengming's expression was gloomy. They really didn't know about this. Very few people knew where the giant beast's territory was, so it was normal that they didn't know. Let's save your elder first. I've already sensed where it is. Let's go over now. Yi Tianyun gestured for Kong Shengming to follow him. Kong Shengming nodded and quickly followed Yi Tianyun, constantly releasing the aura of death. This consumption was relatively large, so they couldn't persist for a long time. If they could persist, she wouldn't have said that it was a narrow escape. It might be useful in the beginning, but it wouldn't be effective if they met someone with a stronger cultivation. Especially now that they were flying around randomly, it would be even more dangerous. But now that things had come to this, they couldn't care so much. After Yi Tianyun determined the direction, he flew quickly with Kong Shengming, all the way to the destination. The more they stayed here, the more dangerous it would be. However, they didn't fly for long. Suddenly, a few resentful souls dashed over crazily. They passed the aura of death and started to gnaw at them. Living creatures, living creatures, living creatures. Eat, eat, eat. They spoke horrifying words in the human language. They are Grand Star venerate resentful souls. They have seen through my defense. Kong Shengming's expression changed. She hadn't expected to run into Grand Star venerate resentful souls so soon. Don't be afraid. Let me handle it. Yi Tianyun's eyes were ice-cold. He waved his hand and the divine soul bloodline in his body was activated. A powerful soul control power grabbed the resentful souls that were pouncing at him and quickly enveloped them. Under his control, he managed to suppress the resentful souls. However, it was extremely difficult to erase their murderous intents, unlike capturing some souls outside, which could be easily erased. It would take a lot of effort to erase their murderous intents. The main reason was that the murderous intents were too strong. There was too much resentment and murderous intent accumulated there. It wouldn't be easy to erase them. In such a situation, Yi Tianyun could only suppress them. He couldn't erase their murderous intents and resentment quickly, as expected of the resentful souls in the Death Gate. Even the divine soul bloodline can't suppress them easily. Yi Tianyun was surprised. He had thought he could kill them easily, but it seemed he had overthought it. However, Kong Shengming was already dumbfounded by this slight display of power. He could suppress the resentful souls of Grand Star venerates so easily, and there were several of them. If it were her, she wouldn't be able to do this. She could suppress one at most, and that would be pretty good already. She knew the horrifying resentment and murderous intent contained in those resentful souls. They couldn't be suppressed easily. Yi Tianyun could suppress several of them. It wasn't hard to imagine that he was stronger than the Death Clan when it came to controlling souls. In terms of bloodline, the Divine Soul bloodline was stronger than the Death Clan's bloodline. However, they couldn't be compared. One could control souls, while the other could extract souls and resurrect them. They had completely different effects and couldn't be compared. Chapter 2194. After suppressing the souls of the Grand Star Venerables, Yi Tianyun continued to fly forward with Kong Shengming. At the same time, he kept suppressing the souls. If he could capture these souls here, he could take them back and make them into puppets. However, he would have to pay a great price, and he would have to kill them for a long time. Judging from the current situation, it was better not to do that for the time being. Thus, after flying a certain distance away, he quickly threw the vengeful soul outside. Taking advantage of the fact that the vengeful soul was still trapped, he quickly escaped with Kong Shengming. By the time they broke free and chased after him, Yi Tianyun and the others had already run far away. It's a pity, if I can keep them all, then I'll have a lot of puppets. Yi Tianyun felt a little pity, but even if he killed them, it's not an easy task. It was the same as erasing their murderous aura and resentment. He had to keep killing them until they disappeared completely. Only then could he kill them. This was their territory. Their life force was very durable. They were much tougher than they were outside. This was why they said that entering this place was like having a slim chance of survival. It was not easy to kill them, and there were many of them. So, they could only choose to run away. They could kill those with a lower cultivation, but it was not necessary. Especially when they had to save people. They should focus on saving people instead of killing or capturing resentful souls. There were too many Grand Star Venerables here. They could not capture all of them. This was also what Yi Tianyun was thinking about. As expected, they saw another group of Grand Star Venerables' resentful souls coming in their direction after flying for a while. They had only flown for a short distance when a group of people came charging at them. Yi Tianyun went again. He used his divine soul and bloodline to suppress them again. This time, Kong Shengming did not stay idle. She used a special confinement method, which was much faster than if Yi Tianyun did it alone. She had been so shocked by Yi Tianyun's ability that she did not react immediately. Now that she had come back to her senses, she quickly confined those resentful souls to make them more secure. She had always had this ability. They could resurrect souls, so they could also confine resentful souls. To resurrect souls, one had to take them out of the gate of death first. Then they had to be confined. Otherwise, they could not be resurrected. For now, only the Death Clan had the ability to resurrect souls. Yi Tianyun could not resurrect souls even if he caught them. Even if he erased their murderous aura and resentment, it would be useless. If they could be resurrected easily, the Death Clan would be useless. They could just open the gate of death. It's a great star venerable level ghost. No wonder they said that those with low cultivation are courting death. Yi Tianyun couldn't help but say a few words after throwing the ghost away. It's still all right for us. If we were unlucky and ran into a lot of great star venerable's vengeful spirits, we wouldn't have been able to restrain them easily. If I encounter a divine star venerable, then there's no need to even mention it. Kong Shengming didn't even dare to think about what would happen next. A divine star venerable's soul, even a vengeful spirit, was an extremely terrifying existence. Divine star venerable's souls. Yi Tianyun shook his head. He really did not want to see divine star venerable's souls. He hoped he would not have to see them for even a second. As they flew at high speed without stopping, they encountered several grand star venerable's souls along the way. Fortunately, their luck was not bad. They only encountered a few resentful souls. Overall, it was quite impressive. We are almost there. Yi Tianyun suddenly said. We are almost there. Kong Shengming's eyes lit up. They had finally reached their destination after flying for such a long time. Grand star venerables could fly at full speed through many planets in the blink of an eye. After flying for such a long time, they had finally reached their destination. It was easy to imagine how far they were and how many dangers they had encountered on the way. A moment later, a large patch of black fog entered his eyes. What entered his ears were the shrill screams that pierced through his eardrums. The screams were coming from the front. The black fog in front of them was no ordinary fog. It was densely packed with resentful souls. There were at least tens of millions, or even hundreds of millions of them. Both of them were frightened by such a terrifying number. No wonder I saw a grey haze all around me. It turns out these resentful souls have enveloped us. Yi Tianyun's face sank. He raised his eyes and looked around. The number of resentful souls in the surroundings was shocking. Among them, there were tens of thousands of Grand Star Venerable's souls. Here, it was counted in the tens of thousands, not the number of beasts. They could barely see the situation inside through the tight cracks. There was a group of experts inside, all of them building a thick barrier, sealing them tightly, blocking the invasion of the many vengeful spirits. It seemed like they were fine for the time being. However, it would not be easy for them to rush out. How could they escape with so many resentful souls surrounding them? Not to mention escaping, even if Yi Tianyun and the others wanted to enter, it would not be an easy task. Fortunately, they were all resentful souls. Even if they used the simplest method of gnawing, they would still be powerful, but not so ferocious. If 10,000 Grand Star Venerables besieged them, they would collapse in less than a breath's time. They would not be able to last that long. There are too many of them. How can we save them? Kong Shengming panicked. How could they save so many resentful souls? They had thought they could help by coming in. However, how could they help? If they were to rush forward, they would probably be trapped inside. That's easy. The key is how to get in. Yi Tianyun's eyes flickered. As long as they could rush in, he could save them. He could use the super teleportation divine stone to escape. Nothing would be a problem. Even if he could not use the super teleportation divine stone, he could use the death gate to escape. Are you saying we should rush in? Kong Shengming was struck dumb. She did not understand what Yi Tianyun meant. Yes. We will rush in and join them. Then, I will have a way to save you. Yi Tianyun said confidently. Kong Shengming thought for a while. Then, she said, clenching her teeth, I have a way to let you pass. Hold on. You mean you want to attract them over and let me in? Yi Tianyun immediately caught on. Kong Shengming would attract the firepower and let him pass. Yes. I have a way to attract a large number of them over. Young Master Yi, you can use this chance to go in. This is the only way, Kong Shengming explained. Yi Tianyun looked at her for a while and shook his head. Forget it. Let me do it. I should be able to blast an opening. Chapter 2195. Young Master Yi, let you do it. Kong Shengming was stunned. It was not that she did not trust Yi Tianyun, but she felt that she was more capable of attracting these vengeful souls. Along the way, Yi Tianyun's ability to control souls was indeed outstanding. But from the perspective of attracting vengeful souls, there was no doubt that she was better at it. Yes, if I let you do it, it will be easier for us to separate. If you are surrounded, it will not be easy for you to escape. Especially, we have to go in together, otherwise they will definitely not let me in. Yi Tianyun pointed to the flashing light shield in front of him. If he flew over alone, the other party would probably not let him in. That's right, but young Master Yi, how do you plan to solve it? Kong Shengming was puzzled. Didn't I say it just now? Just blast a hole, it's that simple. Yi Tianyun grinned. Blast a hole, how do I do that? Kong Shengming looked at the densely packed vengeful souls in front of her. With so many vengeful souls, the hardness was no less than a thick city wall. It was too difficult to blast it open. Once there were a lot of them, even ants could bite an elephant to death. Vengeful souls were originally harder, it was more difficult to blast them open. It was more practical to attract them. It's very simple, I just need to mobilize my strength to create a gap. Yi Tianyun took a deep breath, and the 7-color Emperor Dragon Star Dharma idol started to flicker behind him. Even if the night sky was dark, Yi Tianyun could still see the 7-color Emperor Dragon Star Dharma idol, and the vast stars shrouded him from above. Transform into the original body. Yi Tianyun's body leaped and instantly transformed into the original body of the 7-colored Emperor Dragon. The huge body of the 7-colored Emperor Dragon quickly appeared in front of Kong Shengming. After Kong Shengming saw it, she was immediately shocked. 5-color Emperor Dragon Lord, she was truly stunned. She didn't know what kind of Dharma of stars Yi Tianyun had, but now that it had exploded, she finally understood what Yi Tianyun meant by the origin. Yi Tianyun was the 5-colored Emperor Dragon. He was an existence that had once led the Death Clan to the peak. Now that it had reappeared in front of them, her heart skipped a beat. I didn't expect him to be the inheritor of the 5-colored Emperor Dragon. It's unbelievable. Kong Shengming covered her mouth in shock. She finally understood why Yi Tianyun helped them. He didn't help them for no reason. Originally, Yi Tianyun didn't want to expose himself so quickly, but now that things had come to this, he had no choice but to do so. However, it wasn't a problem for him to expose himself in advance. After all, he wasn't an enemy. After unleashing his original body, a 7-colored light shone brilliantly. Behind him, 4 layers of starlight Dharma idols appeared and stacked on top of each other. All sorts of starlight deities and the like were stacked on top of each other. Soon, the astral power above him quickly spread out and rushed to more than 50 units of astral power in one go. The crazy damage mode was stacked on top of each other at the same time, and its power soared again. However, it wasn't over yet. Unleash your astral power and help me, Yi Tianyun snorted. Because he unleashed his astral power, the surrounding souls were immediately attracted over. How could they miss such a huge amount of vitality? However, not many of the souls surrounding the Death Clan were attracted over. After all, there were also many lives there and they wouldn't be attracted over for the time being. If a simple burst of astral power could attract the souls over, Kong Shengming wouldn't have said that. Kong Shengming didn't know what Yi Tianyun meant, but she could only listen to Yi Tianyun and unleash her astral power. 37 units of astral power were formed above her. As soon as it was formed, Yi Tianyun took a big bite, directly losing a third of its original amount, and superimposed on top of his own 50 cubes of star power, once again reached a higher level of 54 cubes of star power. His power increased again, but this wasn't his limit. This was the best he could do for now. Go! Yi Tianyun let out a low roar. The giant rainbow emperor dragon tore forward. It opened its huge mouth, and the power of primal chaos burst out. 7 stars shine. 7 different attributes roared and attacked, bombarding forward. The thick beam of light was like an incomparably huge galaxy, piercing through the group of vengeful spirit. Boom! A power that could restrain any attribute exploded amidst this pile of vengeful souls. Especially the power of the light attribute, it was released to its greatest extent. Ding! Successfully killed a star venerable's vengeful spirit. Obtained 100 star energy points. Ding! Successfully killed a grand star venerable's vengeful spirit. Obtained 1000 star energy points. Ding! With a single strike, many vengeful spirits were destroyed. To be precise, they only dissipated temporarily. After a period of time, they would slowly fuse back together. In this place, they wouldn't die. Unless they were pulled out of this world, they would at most dissipate. There was no way to completely destroy them. However, the amount of star energy obtained from killing them was too low. It wasn't enough at all. After a series of fierce attacks, a large number of vengeful spirits were easily destroyed. The terrifying restraining attribute was enough to easily destroy a large number of vengeful spirits. With the fusion of other attributes, the effect was also greatly enhanced, and it was easier to destroy them. In an instant, a small gap was cleared. At that moment, they could clearly see that the vengeful spirits had surrounded the elders of the Death Clan. They were also looking at the situation outside in shock. Especially the Rainbow Emperor Dragon's true body, which had shocked them. One had to know that they originally believed in the five-colored Imperial Dragon. Now that the five-colored Imperial Dragon had rushed out, their feelings were elevated. "Release your star energy and help me," Yi Tianyun said in a dignified voice. Quick, release your star energy and help Lord Rainbow Emperor Dragon." They didn't doubt it at all. Although they didn't know where it had come from, they were certain that it was the Rainbow Emperor Dragon. Then they released their star energy one after another, but Yi Tianyun couldn't absorb that much. However, since they had already released their star energy, he didn't bother to say anything. After all, the situation was critical, and he didn't have the time to explain anything. After releasing a large amount of star energy, Yi Tianyun swallowed it again in one breath. He instantly reached 60 star energy points, which was his current limit. Boom! The power of the 7 stars shining fury increased by a large margin. The terrifying attack swept forward, increasing the speed of clearing the spirits by several dozen times. Chapter 2196. The horrifying power continued to sweep across and blasted a big hole in front of them. However, the hole was not very big because there were too many vengeful spirits. Even though Yi Tianyun was very powerful, there were too many vengeful spirits. Every time a batch was destroyed, another batch would come to fill the gap. Especially now that the number of vengeful spirits in the surroundings was too big, it attracted more vengeful spirits. Even someone as powerful as Yi Tianyun couldn't resist them for too long. Now, when a big hole was blasted, Yi Tianyun quickly flew forward with Kong Shengming. Their original purpose was to blast a hole, not to kill these vengeful spirits. It was impossible to kill these vengeful spirits. How could they kill them when there were so many of them? Hundreds of millions was just a rough estimate. As more and more of them came to fill the gap, it would not be hundreds of millions, but billions, or even billions. In fact, billions was not a lot. But these vengeful spirits were too tough. They were definitely worth hundreds of millions. It was impossible to kill them. Roar, roar, roar. The mournful vengeful spirits surrounded them with cold eyes. They wanted to devour Yi Tianyun and Kong Shengming. But at this moment, Yi Tianyun quickly returned to his original form. He grabbed Kong Shengming and rushed forward. There was no need for them to say anything. The people inside quickly shouted, "Quick, open the protective shield and let them in." Even if they didn't know Yi Tianyun, they had to let Kong Shengming in when they saw him. After opening a hole in the protective cover slightly, the two of them quickly went in. As soon as they went in, the hole in the protective cover quickly closed. Then, the vengeful spirits pounced on them crazily and hit the protective cover one after another. Dong, dong, dong sounds were heard, as if they had hit a thick door. Soon, the hole was filled up. Now, the exit had disappeared. If they wanted to go out, they had to force their way out. But it was meaningless. If they wanted to rush out, they would have to face too many problems. If they could get out, they would have rushed out long ago instead of being trapped here. After entering, Yi Tianyun raised his eyes and looked around. There were several clansmen of the Death Clan meditating here. Their faces were pale, and it was obvious that they had suffered serious injuries. Only a small portion of them were helping to maintain the barrier. Clan leader, mother. Kong Shengming's body trembled when she saw them, and she quickly walked over. Sheng why did you come in? Patriarch Kong Fengshan slowly opened his eyes, and so did Chen Yanling. Their eyes were filled with exhaustion, which showed that they had consumed a lot of energy. Among them, Kong Fengshen was obviously seriously injured. His face was even paler than before, as if his blood essence had been sucked dry. Most of the people here were not in good condition. The ones who were in the worst condition were naturally Kong Fengshen and the other elders. They must have suffered extremely serious attacks. That's right. Sheng, why are you here? It's so dangerous here. We are all trapped here, and we can't get out at all. Now you rush in. Chen Yanling grabbed her little hand, looking nervous and worried. We are here to save you, Kong Shengming explained. Save us? What nonsense. There are so many ghosts here. Don't you know that? We can't get out now, and you are trapped here with us. Chen Yanling shook his head and sighed, feeling a little desperate. Don't be afraid. We have the protection of the Lord. He said that he can save us. Kong Shengming turned to look at Yi Tianyun. Yes, I felt a very familiar aura just now. It seems to be the aura of the five-colored emperor dragon. Was it an illusion? Kong Fengshen looked to the side and saw Yi Tianyun. Patriarch, it is indeed the inheritor of the five-colored emperor dragon. He is the inheritor of the five-colored emperor dragon. The elders next to him were very excited. They were very excited to see Yi Tianyun's five-colored emperor dragon. Yes, I am the inheritor of the five-colored emperor dragon. This time, we are here to save you. Yi Tianyun smiled faintly and released the aura of the five-colored emperor dragon at the same time to make them believe him. Kong Fengshen and the others were resting just now, so they naturally did not see everything with their own eyes. He really is the inheritor of the Lord. At this moment, Kong Fengshen and Chen Yanling were excited and wanted to stand up. However, Yi Tianyun stretched out his hand and gently pressed them down, indicating that they should not get up. You are still injured. It's better not to move around. Yi Tianyun glanced at them and said, let's leave now. If we continue to guard here, the elders will not be able to hold on for too long. Now, they were taking turns to maintain the shield and had been holding on. When they rested, they were constantly chewing on elixirs to replenish their consumption. Under such circumstances, they were able to hold on for so long. However, once the elixirs were eaten, they would be finished. But, Lord, how do we leave? There are so many ghosts here. How do we kill our way out? It was the first time that Kong Fengshen and the others met Yi Tianyun, but they immediately chose to trust him. Perhaps the identity of the five-colored Emperor Dragon's inheritor had an incomparable charm and faith to them. In fact, it was similar to the Ghana Patriarch and the others. As long as Yi Tianyun showed his identity, they would trust him unconditionally. Perhaps this was because they believed that the five-colored Emperor Dragon's inheritor was absolutely righteous and trustworthy. Everyone's eyes are looking at Yi Tianyun. They want to listen to his instructions. It's very simple. That is to open the door of death to leave. Yi Tianyun said with a smile. Open the door of death to leave. They had a strange look on their faces. Kong Fengshen said awkwardly, Lord, there is still half a month before I can open the door of death. As for Sheng, I reckon that you have just come in, so it is even more impossible to open it. I'm afraid this method is too difficult. We just have to hold on for now. After a month, I will open the door of death to leave. But with your current condition, forget about a month, you can at most hold on for a few more days, and you will not be able to hold on, right? Yi Tianyun said indifferently. Yes. They smiled awkwardly. It was indeed so. The situation was just that terrible. Since that is the case, then there is nothing more to say. Furthermore, when I said open the door of death, it is not for you to open it, but for me to open it. Yi Tianyun smiled slightly. He did not plan to use the super teleportation divine stone, but the door of death. Chapter 2197. Sir, you're going to open the death's gate? Kong Shengming and the others were taken aback. They wondered if they had heard wrongly. Yi Tianyun was going to open the death's gate. No matter how they looked at it, Yi Tianyun didn't seem like a member of the Death Clan. There was no aura of the Death Clan at all. Even the inheritor of the five-colored Emperor Dragon didn't have such an ability, right? If he really had such an ability, wouldn't he be fighting with the Death Clan? Yes, I'm going to open the Death's Gate. That way, we can get out. Yi Tianyun smiled and explained, this is the method I mentioned. It's also the reason why we rushed in. We just rushed in and opened the Death's Gate. That way, we can get out. That's right. Sir, how did you open it? Kong Fengshen was very curious about this. He wanted to see how other people besides the Death Clan managed to open the Heaven's Gate. Even in the Death Clan, there were only 2 people who could open the Death's Gate, let alone others. Apart from Kong Fengshen and Kong Shengming, the others couldn't open the Death's Gate at all. One could imagine how difficult it was. It's very simple. Just open it like this. Yi Tianyun didn't continue to keep them in suspense. If he continued to be so long-winded, he was afraid that the barrier would be broken. What he was most afraid of was attracting Divine Star Venerate powerhouses. That way, they might fall instantly. As soon as he finished speaking, he raised his hand in the void and tapped it lightly. Actually, he was just putting on an act. Immediately after, a crack slowly opened in the void in front of them. What came from that crack was the surging life aura. Without a doubt, that was definitely the world outside the Death's Gate. Although they didn't know which region it was, at least it wasn't the Death region. This. They were all stunned. They didn't expect that Yi Tianyun could really open it. Moreover, he did it so easily. It was definitely the first time they had seen something like this. Hurry up and go in. My Death's Gate can't last for too long. Yi Tianyun heaved a sigh of relief when he saw the Death's Gate. Fortunately, it wasn't like the Divine Jade token from before, which could only allow one person to pass. The Death's Door could allow people to pass through at will, but it didn't last long, only for a short while. A short while was enough for them to cross over. Alright, let's go now. Kong Fengshen and the others didn't care about how Yi Tianyun managed to open it. Each and every one of them quickly rushed inside. Some elders who were unable to move were lifted up and rushed inside the Gate of Death. At this moment, they heard dong 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 sounds. The vengeful spirits outside the barrier felt the rich life energy coming from the Door of Death. They all became crazy and wanted to break through the barrier and rush in. However, before they could rush in, Kong Fengshen and the others had already entered the Death's Door, leaving only Yi Tianyun outside. Just as he was about to step in, he suddenly felt a sharp gaze directed in his direction. When he turned his head, he saw a relatively complete soul body standing outside the shield and staring at him. It was very different from the other vengeful spirits. Not only did it have a complete body, but its eyes also had some divine light. The most terrifying thing was its cultivation, Divine Star Venerable. The soul of a Divine Star Venerable. He didn't expect to see the soul of a Divine Star Venerable before he left. Yi Tianyun immediately became vigilant, but he wasn't too worried. As long as he took a step forward, he could easily enter the Death's Door. Even a Divine Star Venerable wouldn't be able to stop him. However, this Divine Star Venerable's soul didn't break the barrier. Instead, it looked at him from afar. It even suddenly smiled at him and opened its mouth to say something, but no sound was transmitted. Yi Tianyun read the meaning it wanted to express from its lips. I'll wait for you to come in again. Yi Tianyun was startled. Wait for me to come in again? What did that mean? He didn't think too much about it. To avoid future troubles, he quickly stepped into the Death's Door. Who knew if this Divine Star Venerable's soul would suddenly rush in? Anyway, it was best to leave first. After he entered, the Death's Door quickly closed, and everything was under his control. If he wanted to close it quickly, he could close it quickly. After it closed, the vengeful spirits surrounding this place finally broke through the barrier. Without the elders maintaining the barrier, they naturally broke through immediately. After breaking through, they madly burrowed their way over, but there was no sign of them. They could only circle around the side and leave, not continuing to stay. At the same time, that Divine Star Venerable's soul also disappeared, as if it had never been there. After passing through the Death's Door, Yi Tianyun returned to the outside world. The world they were teleported to was neither Scarlet Moon Planet nor Desolate Dragon Planet. It was a relatively barren area. No matter where it was, at least it wasn't inside the Death's Door. There were so many great star venerables here. No one could do anything to them, no matter where they were. We finally escaped. It was as if they had survived a disaster. All of them greedily absorbed the life aura around them. It felt very uncomfortable to stay inside without this life aura. Now that they could escape, they felt that they were really lucky. They all thought they were dead, but they didn't expect to come out alive. After sighing, they all focused their attention on Yi Tianyun. If it weren't for Yi Tianyun, how could they have escaped? Thank you for saving us, my lord. If it weren't for you, I'm afraid we would have died inside. Kong Fengshen's body swayed as he came before Yi Tianyun. He slowly knelt down on one knee and said respectfully, "Let me reintroduce myself. I'm Kong Fengshen, the leader of the Death Clan. I'm the descendant of the Death Divine General under the command of the five-colored Emperor Dragon." The others knelt down one after another. Even if they didn't know what kind of person Yi Tianyun was, he was worth trusting since he had saved them. Kong Shengming also knelt down. She no longer called Yi Tianyun Young Master Yi. Ever since he showed his unique Star Dharma idol, she knew she couldn't call him that anymore. "All of you, please get up." Yi Tianyun stretched out his hand and lifted them up. He had subdued them so smoothly that he thought they would be rejected. It didn't seem that difficult at all. After all, it had been a long time. Plus, he was an inheritor, not the real body. However, he didn't expect it to be so easy. He had thought too much. It's really magical. I didn't expect that my lord could really open the death's door. How did he do it? This was what they were most curious about. After all, it was exclusive to the Death Clan. Chapter 2198. After listening to Yi Tianyun's explanation, they came to a sudden realization. If they used some special methods, they could indeed open the door of death. However, there were some restrictions and the price to pay was not low. In any case, Yi Tianyun's situation was a little special. However, Yi Tianyun was on their side. It did not matter what the details were. In any case, he was not an enemy. Let's not talk about this for now. How did you hide in the door of death? Yi Tianyun was more curious about this. It's a long story. Everything was caused by the giant beast clan. Kong Fengshen's tone became cold. The eyes of the other elders were filled with cold killing intent. The giant beast clan had always been their mortal enemy. Giant beast clan. Yi Tianyun's eyes narrowed. He had speculated before, but he did not expect it to be the giant beast clan. "It's really the giant beast clan?" Kong Shengming exclaimed. She had not thought about it before. After hearing what Yi Tianyun said, she only felt that it was possible. Now that it came from her father's mouth, she was really shocked. Ever since that battle, the giant beast clan had declined rapidly. There was not much news about them. Now, they had rushed over and forced the elders and clan leader of the Death Clan to retreat into the door of death. One could imagine how fierce they were. "Yes, it's really the giant beast clan. We did not think that it would be the giant beast clan. We thought it was those ordinary cultivators who wanted to capture our clansmen and resurrect them. After the clan collapsed, the real mastermind took action. They all have the appearance of cultivators. Under normal circumstances, it is really impossible to distinguish them." Kong Fengshen's eyes were filled with shock and unwillingness. Until now, he had not recovered from his shock. Everything was too shocking. "Their appearance is similar to cultivators," Kong Shengming exclaimed. She was shocked by these words. "Doesn't that mean that we can't distinguish them? They appeared in front of us casually. We thought they were friends, but they were actually enemies. Yes, it is only when they reveal their strength that we can easily distinguish them. Under normal circumstances, they really are similar to cultivators." Kong Fengshen's expression was solemn as he said, "We've been tricked. I'm afraid that our so-called friends from before are actually members of the giant beast race. In other words, some of the cultivators we recommended were from the giant beast clan, which led to the collapse of our death clan." Kong Fengshen had already roughly guessed everything. It was very obvious that the giant beast race had come to attack. Yes, they are gradually evolving into a cultivator state. Not only does it have the body of a cultivator, but it also has the perfect physique of the giant beast clan. The combination of the two can be said to be perfect. Yi Tianyun raised his hand, and a recording crystal appeared in his hand. Following that, rays of light circulated, and the battle between him and the gigantic divine beast was played. The appearance and state of the giant divine beast were perfectly presented for them to see clearly. Back then, the giant beast race that I encountered was already in this state. Their evolution was quite perfect. It was indeed difficult for ordinary cultivators to distinguish them. Especially when he doesn't release his aura, it's really hard to detect. Yi Tianyun looked up and saw that their faces were very solemn. This matter could be said to be quite serious. He did not expect the giant beast race to make a comeback, and to be so ferocious. It seems that the situation is very serious. However, the inheritor of the five-colored emperor dragon has already appeared. Doesn't this just prove one thing? The changes in the giant beast race have caused His Excellency to appear. Kong Fengshen looked at Yi Tianyun with a burning gaze, and said in a deep voice, His Excellency appeared because he wants you to lead us to fight against the giant beast race again. Yi Tianyun was stunned. Wasn't this a little too exaggerated? Thinking about it carefully, it seemed that from the moment he came up, he had the five-colored emperor dragon's starry Dharma form, as if it was the will of the heavens. Could it be that I really have to carry out this unfinished battle? That battle back then did not completely end, but it ended in a draw. As the giant beast race was relatively small in number, they were fighting against all the cultivators, which was why they appeared so weak and quickly went into hiding. Now that they had made a comeback, the momentum they brought was very shocking. If they were not careful, they would probably devour all of them. His thoughts shifted to the Ghana patriarch, who had recruited the descendant of the former divine general into his faction in advance. Now that the Death Clan had joined in, more and more forces had joined in, and their troops were constantly strengthening. Let's gather all the clansmen first. The situation is not very optimistic. Now that we are not sure what they are doing, let's gather all the clansmen first. Yi Tianyun did not think too much about it. Now that the enemy was in the dark, while he was in the light, he should gather the rest of the clansmen first. The others nodded. Everything had happened too suddenly, and they did not know what was going on. Therefore, they could only put everything aside and settle down first. Immediately after, they quickly rushed to the previous gathering place and met up with the other clansmen. When the other clansmen saw that the tribe leader and the others were safe, they were surprised and happy. They did not expect that they would really be rescued. Kong Yue and the others hugged their parents and cried non-stop. Everything was too shocking, and they had almost been separated by life and death. All the clansmen should be here, right? Yi Tianyun glanced around. There were indeed not many people from the Death Clan. In fact, it was a little small. No, there are still a few people who were captured. Before we entered the door of death, they were captured, and we do not know if they are dead or alive. Kong Fengshen said. Who are they? Yi Tianyun's eyes lit up. This way, he could find the giant beast clan through the captured clansmen. Immediately, Kong Fengshen said the name, and Kong Shengming was full of anticipation. She knew that Yi Tianyun would be able to find his clansmen through the name. If he could find the giant beast clan by following the clansmen, it would be even better. When Yi Tianyun searched according to the name, he found that he could not find them. I can't find them. Yi Tianyun's face sank. You can't find them? Kong Shengming asked doubtfully. Lord, can't you find them through the name? Why can't you find them? There is only one possibility, and that is that they are dead. If they are dead, they will disappear completely. Naturally, I can't find them. Yi Tianyun shook his head. If they were dead, what name would they have? That means, they are all dead. Kong Shengming and the others were stunned. There were quite a few names reported. Yes, I can't find any of them. They might have been devoured by the giant beast clan, and they are probably worried that they will be found. Yi Tianyun sighed. He thought that he could find the giant beast clan by following the name. As long as he was alive, he would be able to find the location immediately. Chapter 2199. Such heavy news made the Death Clan members feel even more depressed. The Death Clan had already suffered losses. Now that more of their clansmen had died, their mood was quite heavy and sorrowful. The giant beast's clan was quite cautious. They would kill anyone who was not a key figure. They did not know if the Death Clan had any special means of communication. If they secretly contacted them, it would be equivalent to exposing their location. If only I knew the name of the Giant Beasts clan. Yi Tianyun shook his head. If he knew the name of the Giant Beasts clan, he would be able to find them immediately. However, how would he know? The information was immediately cut off, and they could not track the mysterious Giant Beasts clan. Yi Tianyun guessed that this group of giant beasts was definitely not from the giant divine beast domain. It was another group that had hidden quite deeply. It was impossible that there was only one group of giant beasts clan. There were many of them, just that they were distributed in different areas. Based on the current situation, they will definitely take action again. It's just that I don't know when. Yi Tianyun frowned. If we can capture one of the giant beasts clan alive, as long as he could capture one of them alive, he could use the Super Soul Search to dig out all his plans. However, where could he find the Giant Beasts clan now? If it's the Giant Beasts clan, we can lure them out. Kong Shengming interrupted. As long as I am the bait, we can lure the Giant Beasts clan out. In the end, they still want to open the door of death and cause this world to become chaotic. Currently, only the clan leader and I can open the door of death. Let me lure them, and they can make a move. At that time, we can take advantage of this opportunity to capture them alive. If I am captured, they will definitely not kill me directly. How can I open the door of death? At that time, let the Lord find me. Kong Shengming's plan was quite good. She even made use of Yi Tianyun's ability. It was not scary to be captured. Instead, they could even find their lair. No, if you are the bait, it will be very dangerous. If I am to be the bait, it should be me as the clan leader, not you. Kong Fengshan shook his head and refused. From their point of view, Patriarch, you've already died in the door of death, or you won't be able to come out immediately. Your sudden appearance will undoubtedly make them suspicious. I'm different. I've always been outside, so it's not surprising that I've been found. I'm the perfect bait. Kong Shengming spoke logically, perfectly refuting her father's suggestion. Yi Tianyun couldn't help but take another look at Kong Shengming. He had to admit that her plan was pretty good. Based on the current situation, this was the only way to quickly obtain some information. If there was no effort, how could there be any return? Only by quickly grasping the other party's movements could he kill the other party in the cradle before the other party made a move. Alright, let's do that. Yi Tianyun didn't think too much and immediately made a decision. The situation was urgent and he had no choice but to do so. I dare say that I can guarantee your safety. If I can save you once, I can save you twice. My lord, of course, you are trustworthy. Kong Shengming smiled faintly. They all knew what Yi Tianyun intended. He just wanted to capture the gargantuan beast race and interrogate them. Even if they could not interrogate them, they could still obtain some information by searching their souls. That was better than not knowing anything. In that case, let's start making the plan now. Make everything perfect. A gleam flashed in Yi Tianyun's eyes. Everything had to be done immediately. In one of the lower middle-class clans of Scarlet Moonstar, the security was extremely tight. Many cultivators patrolled the area. However, their cultivations were rather low. The strongest was just a star venerate, and some were not even star venerates. For the security to be so tight, they had to be protecting something. Suddenly, a light barrier descended from the sky, encasing the entire area. The guards at the side all sensed that something was wrong. They quickly raised their heads and saw 3 figures appearing at the side. A terrifying aura was being released in their direction. The guards' expressions changed, and they hurriedly retreated in fright. They stammered, Who are you? They asked as they quickly retreated. They were not guards at all. They were deserters. The 3 figures ignored them and directly walked towards the palace. One of them stretched out his hand and slammed the sturdy door. Using brute force alone, the door was smashed into pieces. The guards were dumbfounded by such a sight. They knew this gate was made of a special material, and even a star venerable would need to exert a lot of effort to break it. To the intruder, a single palm strike was all it took to shatter the door. How could they dare to chase after them? They could only escape quickly. However, when they tried to escape, they discovered a barrier around them. No matter how they attacked, they could not break it. This is a barrier created by the verbal compliance law. We can't break it. The verbal compliance law meant that they were at the level of a great star venerable. The three intruders swaggered in. One of them said in an extremely displeased tone, "I really didn't expect such important people to be captured by a small clan." Third brother, "It's luck. I guess the princess was injured. That's why she was captured by a small clan. Forget it. It's fine as long as we found her. We couldn't detect her aura. I didn't expect to find the princess here. It took us a lot of effort. Even though we have some abilities of the Death Clan, we still can't detect her completely." They were annoyed and felt it was a waste of time. Soon, they arrived at the depths of the palace. They all stretched out their hands and pushed the door open. No matter how thick it was easily pushed aside by a single slap. Finally, he came to a secret room and saw that Kong Shengming was locked up inside. There were densely packed cages around her, trapping her inside. "You are here again. No matter who comes, I won't compromise with you," Kong Shengming said fiercely. Heh, we don't need you to compromise." One of them laughed sinisterly. He stretched out his hand and grabbed Kong Shengming. A strong Grand Star Venerate energy wrapped around Kong Shengming. He crushed the cage in an instant and tried to grab Kong Shengming. Before they could reach her, several figures appeared and attacked the three of them at the same time. It happened so suddenly that the three of them were blown away before they could react. They crashed into the walls and collapsed, many of them. What's going on? They crawled out of the deep pit in shock. They were unscathed. When they looked forward, they found several Great Star Venerables had surrounded them. Chapter 2200. This was a very simple plan. They just needed to find an ordinary small clan and imprison Kong Shengming there. This way, they could create a situation where she was imprisoned and deceive the giant beasts. They did not leak any information. Yi Tianyun made a bold guess as to whether the giant beasts could find Kong Shengming. He did not know if they could sense her with just a bit of her aura. If it was really impossible, he would leak some information. Who would have thought that they would really be sensed, and the three behemoths would come knocking on their door, and very successfully step into the trap. Their appearances have changed, but their intelligence has not improved much. This was the highest evaluation Yi Tianyun gave them. Their appearances had changed, but their intelligence had not improved much. If they had fallen into the trap so easily, they would have broken through to the Great Star Venerate level for nothing. However, there was one thing that shocked the Death Clan. They could really find them just by sensing them. If they had not concealed anything, they would have been found easily. "Big brother, it seems like we have fallen into a trap," a giant beast next to him shouted. "Nonsense, do you think I need you to tell me that?" The giant beast on the other side scolded angrily. Looking at this situation, who wouldn't know that they had fallen into a trap? "I did not expect you to come out of the gate of death. How did you do it?" When the leader of the giant beasts saw Kong Fengshan, his pupils constricted. He had thought there was no hope. He had not expected Kong Fengshan to come out. "I don't think there is any reason to explain too much to the giant beasts." Kong Fengshan snorted coldly. He quickly released the aura of death from his body, which surged into the surroundings. Even though he had not recovered from his injuries, he could not conceal his great power. The other elders of the Death Clan also burst out. They were even more furious when they faced the giant beasts. They wished they could tear the giant beasts apart. They had always been mortal enemies. Now, they had even caused the Death Clan to fall apart. Fortunately, the Death Clan had gathered back. However, the Death Clan's tribe was completely gone. It would take a long time to rebuild it. All these things added up and raised their anger to the extreme. "Do you think you can beat us just because you have more people?" The three of them were not afraid in the slightest. Their eyes were filled with fighting spirit. Their bodies twisted, and a crackling sound immediately rang out. Following that, their bodies enlarged, and a little of their original appearance was revealed. The leader was the astral flame beast. Its entire body was covered in flames, and anything it touched would turn to ash. It was the strongest among the three beasts, a late-stage Grand Star Venerable. The other two also released their strongest powers. They were the Astral Water Beast and the Astral Earth Beast, three different types of giant beasts. These three giant beasts were actually three brothers. They really had different attributes. Possessing unparalleled strength and being able to use martial arts, it was indeed extremely troublesome. This was also the reason why they weren't afraid. With all sorts of advantages, even if they had to face more enemies, they wouldn't be afraid. I think that with more people, we can indeed defeat you. Or rather, we don't need that many people to defeat you. Yi Tianyun walked over and smiled at them. He hadn't expected that a simple trap would catch three big fish. However, he only needed one. In any case, the memories that they knew should be about the same. He only needed to keep one. Not from the Death Clan. The astral flame beast sized him up, its eyes filled with burning flames. The Death Clan has hired helpers. What a joke. If we could defeat you once before, we can defeat you again now. Hehe, let's see how you can escape this time. You passed through the door of death before, so you definitely can't open it this time. You should be able to fight to your heart's content, right? The astral water beast's eyes were filled with fighting spirit. The giant beasts were warlike. They were covered in blood, and they wanted to fight to the death. You planned to surround us? Let's see if you can really surround us. If you had said so earlier, we wouldn't have needed to set up any traps. We would have come to you directly. The astral earth beast's earth-attributed energy enveloped him in layers. It looked like his defense was quite shocking. All right. Don't talk nonsense with them. Let's fight. The astral flame beast said with a grin, we only need to keep the princess and the chief. We will eat the rest. The next second, they rushed out in all directions. They focused on the Grand Star Venerables with lower cultivation. They killed some elders first, leaving Kong Fengshan and Kong Shengming alone. Looks like we have been underestimated. Yi Tianyun cracked his neck. He took a step forward, and the seven-colored King Dragon's Star Dharma idol burst out. Use your astral power to help me. Yes, Your Excellency. They had already made a plan. They followed Yi Tianyun's instructions and released their astral power to cover this area. Yi Tianyun devoured the astral power of 4 experts without hesitation. He integrated them into the starry sky realm above him. His astral power quickly reached 60 cubic meters. He looked down on everyone. It's the 5-colored Emperor Dragon's inheritor. Now they finally knew why a cultivator had come with the Death Clan. It turned out he was the 5-colored Emperor Dragon's inheritor. Their eyes turned cold and filled with murderous intent. Kill him. Kill him first. Don't leave any trouble behind. The 5-colored Emperor Dragon had always been their biggest enemy. As long as the inheritor showed up, they would kill him without hesitation. However, the murderous intent in their eyes was soon filled with fear. After Yi Tianyun turned into the 7-colored Emperor Dragon, he aimed at the Gang Water Beast with the lowest cultivation and suppressed it. With the most shocking speed and the most brutal power, he directly launched a fierce attack. Dong! The Gang Water Beast was smashed to the ground by Yi Tianyun's palm. Its powerful body was badly mutilated, and it was almost smashed into meat paste. So what if it was a giant beast? If it had the same cultivation as Yi Tianyun, it would be completely crushed. That was 60 cubic meters of astral power combined with crazy mode. The increase in power was far beyond what the Gang Water Beast's body could resist. You want to kill me? With just this bit of strength, it's still too far away. Yi Tianyun grinned at the Gang Water Beast under his feet. His smile was not so beautiful when he turned into the 7-colored Emperor Dragon. It was full of dragon might. Chapter 2201. Ding. Successfully killed Astral Water Beast. Obtained 1 billion star energy points and 1,000 killing points. Obtained Astral Water Beast's bloodline. Astral Water Divine Stone, rare. He had easily killed the Astral Water Beast and harvested a large amount of star energy. Killing Great Star Venerables gave him a lot of star energy. Compared to ordinary Star Venerables, he had gained a lot. Third brother. The astral flame beast and the astral earth beast cried out in grief, feeling inconsolable. "I'm going to kill you, you 5-colored emperor dragon's inheritor." The astral flame beast flew into a rage, and a change occurred behind him. A special figure appeared and turned into a giant astral flame beast. He had ignited his own bloodline in order to stimulate an even greater power. He had never fought Yi Tianyun before, but he was so furious that he could not care less. He wanted to use his strongest killing move to kill Yi Tianyun. "If you want to kill the Lord, you'll have to ask us first." Kong Fengshen and the others intercepted him. Even if they had not recovered from their injuries, there were still a lot of them. Intercepting them was not a problem. After they gathered, they quickly released a thick aura of death. Everywhere it went, life force was extracted. If one got close, they would feel as if their soul was about to be extracted. Surrounded by the thick aura of death, the astral flame beast was immediately trapped. Even if his flames were shocking and could easily burn through the aura of death, he could not rush over immediately. After all, there was too much aura of death. It would take some time to burn through it. Astral flame world burning. The astral flame beast roared and directly displayed a celestial river-level martial art. Flames swept out from the void and quickly burned away the surrounding death aura. This was a giant beast that had a cultivator's martial technique. Combined with the giant beast's endless power, it was like a moving energy crystal. They were very powerful and had enough star power to sustain them in battles for a long time. It was like a child competing with an adult in terms of stamina. The child would definitely not be as strong as the adult. The giant beast's stamina was equivalent to that of an adult's and could last for a long time. If they used the same move, they could use it for a longer period of time. This was the best example. The astral flame beast madly spewed flames all the way, never once stopping, incinerating the surroundings and burning the void. "He's really too strong." The faces of Kong Fengshen and the others changed. Judging from the current situation, they wouldn't be able to hold on for too long before the encirclement was easily broken. This was also related to the fact that they weren't very good at fighting. The Death Clan wasn't particularly outstanding in terms of fighting. Their focus was on resurrection, and everything else was relatively mediocre. Whether it was martial arts or physique, they weren't particularly eye-catching. To put it bluntly, a logistics team couldn't possibly be the vanguard, right? The main reason was that the astral flame beasts were too heaven-defying. They were basically invincible existences at the same cultivation level. No wonder they were not afraid of so many Grand Star Venerates. With such power, they could leave whenever they wanted. No one could stop them. While the astral flame beast was trapped, the astral earth beast was not. Enraged, the astral earth beast also stimulated its bloodline power and charged at Yi Tianyun. It seemed like it had forgotten all its moves and only knew how to charge. "Die!" The astral earth beast roared furiously and charged at a shocking speed. Yi Tianyun immediately saw through the trick. It wasn't that the astral earth beast was so enraged that it couldn't even use its moves. Instead, the protective shield on its body was its strongest killing move. The thick earth-attributed light shield was comparable to a shocking shield. If the shield hit him, he would definitely be smashed into minced meat. That wasn't the key point. The key point was, Yi Tianyun quickly pressed down with his claw. When he wanted to send the astral earth beast flying, he slapped his claw heavily on the earth-attributed light shield. Then, a dong sound rang out, and an extreme rebounding force jolted his palm. With a boom, Yi Tianyun was sent flying. A part of his attack even bounced back to his body. "It's really sturdy." Yi Tianyun's eyes flickered. He knew that there was a trick to this shield. The biggest trick was to reflect damage. This was the reason why the astral earth beast dared to charge at him. It could reflect any attack. If it was close combat, it would die even faster. Especially after being reflected by his own attack and then being hit by the astral earth beast, it would suffer 2 consecutive attacks. At that time, even if it didn't die, it would be seriously injured. This was the case now. After the astral earth beast reflected Yi Tianyun's attack, it charged at Yi Tianyun at a shocking speed. It was like a huge Saturn, trying to send him flying. Kong Shengming and the rest saw this and their hearts jumped to their throats. They were all frightened by this scene. Their previously undefeated battle strength was ineffective against the astral earth beast. Kong Shengming and the rest saw Yi Tianyun fighting alone with the astral earth beast and felt very worried. Should we go and help the Lord? No need. The Lord just said that we only need to trap the astral earth beast and leave the rest to him. Kong Shengshan was also worried, but no matter what, they had to follow the plan. The plan was absolute. Unless there was an uncontrollable change, they would follow the original plan. If they changed the plan without permission, it might backfire. While they were worried, Yi Tianyun wasn't worried at all. Instead, he laughed. You think I can't do anything to you just because you're hiding in a turtle shell? Immediately, Yi Tianyun transformed back to his original form. The long moon azure dragon saber appeared in his hand, flickering like a dazzling sun in the dark night. You think you can cut through my shield just by taking out a weapon? Naive. The astral earth beast didn't care that Yi Tianyun had taken out a weapon to attack it and charged forward. Chaotic 7 stars / Yi Tianyun laughed and rushed into the sky with the saber in hand. He swung the long moon azure dragon saber in his hand and slashed down heavily. All the power gathered at one point and collided with the astral earth beast's head. You dare to fight head-on with the astral earth beast? What an idiot. Don't you know that the stronger the attack, the stronger the rebound? I thought the inheritor of the 5-colored imperial dragon would be strong, but it seems like his only SOSO. The trapped astral earth beast revealed a disdainful look. Then, the saber slashed down heavily. Boom. The violent explosion set off a huge mushroom cloud, and the two figures were sent flying. Yi Tianyun retreated a long distance and barely stopped. The long moon azure dragon saber in his hand had a small crack, which was enough to show how tough the astral earth beast was. Chapter 2202. Everyone sucked in a breath of cold air when they saw this. They did not expect that the one who was more seriously injured was not Yi Tianyun, but the great earth beast. The astral earth beast was known for its strong defense, but now it was being easily suppressed. Its armor was cracked like a dense spiderweb, and blood was seeping out from the cracks. It seemed that with one more strike, the astral earth beast would be shattered. It was like a porcelain that would shatter with a touch. If he used a little more force, it would shatter completely. Roar. Impossible. How could you injure me? The great earth beast's eyes were filled with shock. It was very confident in its defense. It could even block a late-stage Grand Star Venerable. Yet, it almost couldn't block a strike from Yi Tianyun. If Yi Tianyun's cultivation was a little higher, it would have been cut in half. Why is it impossible? The seemingly invincible defense still has a weakness. Besides, did you think my previous attack was my true strength? Yi Tianyun spun the long moon azure dragon saber in his hand and wiped it with his hand. The chipped surface made him feel a little heartache. It had been corroded for too long, so its hardness was much lower than before. It almost broke when it clashed head-on with the great earth beast. That saber seems to be the exclusive weapon of Divine General Blue Tiger. Kong Shengming and the others seemed to recognize it from the records. No, it's actually the exclusive weapon of Lord 5-colored Emperor Dragon. It can only be used by an inheritor. However, it seems like this weapon has been corroded too much, so it's not as powerful as the records say. Kong Fengshan knew a little more, but he was still shocked when he saw this weapon with his own eyes. When Yi Tianyun used it, it was shockingly powerful. It could be said that Kong Fengshan and the others witnessed the glorious power of that era. Although many of them were no longer around, the ones that still existed were shocking enough. The great earth flame beast, who was surrounded, was shocked by this scene. He did not expect his younger brother to almost be unable to block a strike. He knew his brother's standard. Even he himself could not achieve such power in one move, but Yi Tianyun had done it. Yi Tianyun had hit the weakest point of the astral earth beast, so the effect was naturally different. His super appraisal eye wasn't just for show. It could quickly find the opponent's weak points and deal the greatest damage. Impossible, impossible, impossible. The astral earth beast seemed to have gone mad as it charged towards Yi Tianyun. Yi Tianyun's attack had greatly damaged his confidence, causing him to fall into a frenzied state. His proudest move had been broken. What else could he use? Therefore, they all charged forward, wanting to fight Yi Tianyun to the death. But the more he did this, the more it was tantamount to courting death. I was waiting for you. Yi Tianyun smiled indifferently, tightly gripping the everlasting moon azure dragon saber. As long as his opponent fell into a frenzied state, he would win. If one's state of mind wasn't stable during a battle, it would be the same as losing. After all, if one's state of mind wasn't stable, how could one win? The astral earth beast charged over without any hesitation. Its body was full of openings. In this situation, Yi Tianyun could kill it even with his eyes closed. Die. The astral earth beast charged over again. Second brother, don't be impulsive. The great earth flame beast roared, not wanting his second brother to be so impulsive. However, the astral earth beast could no longer hear it. It only cared about Yi Tianyun and wanted to kill Yi Tianyun. Yi Tianyun's eyes flashed, the corner of his mouth hooked up into an arc, the long moon azure dragon saber in his hand slashed in the air, cutting forward horizontally, drawing a beautiful arc in the air. The next moment, Yi Tianyun appeared behind the astral earth beast. The astral earth beast froze in midair, as if it had been frozen. A second later, the astral earth beast was cut in half and fell from the sky. Pools of blood splattered everywhere, covering the entire space. Ding! Successfully killed astral earth beast. Reward: 1, 5 billion star energy points, 1000 kill points. Obtained astral earth beast's bloodline. Astral earth crystal, rare. Astral earth shield, rare. Killing the astral earth beast so easily, and when the astral earth beast went berserk, Yi Tianyun knew that he would definitely win. Second brother. The astral flame beast roared, and the flames in its body rose again, completely destroying the aura of death that surrounded it. Kong Fengshan and the others who had trapped it were repelled by this energy. This meant that the astral flame beast had broken free from the encirclement. In its rage, its strength increased, making the already powerful astral flame beast even more heaven-defying. Crap, he broke free from our encirclement. Kong Fengshan and the others' expressions changed. They had expected that they would be able to trap the astral flame beast for a while longer, but who would have thought that the astral flame beast would break free and charge towards Yi Tianyun? Yi Tianyun had just finished his battle, and he was about to fight the astral flame beast again. How could he win without any time to rest? I'm going to kill you. The heavenly flame beast roared and charged towards Yi Tianyun. Yi Tianyun didn't panic at all, nor was he surprised. The astral flame beast had been on the verge of breaking free from the encirclement. Now that it had been angered, it would naturally charge forward. Are you trying to court death? Yi Tianyun raised the long moon azure dragon blade and stretched it to the side. Astral flame dome. The astral flame beast turned a deaf ear to him and used its strongest killing move against Yi Tianyun. Terrifying flames surrounded everything within a radius of tens of millions of miles. Then, the flames quickly moved towards Yi Tianyun, trying to surround him and kill him. Given Yi Tianyun's current strength, it would be difficult for him to resist such a powerful killing move. Thus, he had already prepared a countermeasure: breakthrough. Breakthrough. Ding. After deducting star energy, you have successfully broken through to the mid-stage Grand Star Venerable realm. After killing the 2 Grand Star Venerables, he had accumulated enough star energy to raise his cultivation to the mid-stage Grand Star Venerable realm. As long as he increased his cultivation by 1 level, his strength would increase greatly, and he would have no problem dealing with late-stage Grand Star Venerables. Boom. After breaking through, Yi Tianyun felt his body brimming with power. The 60 cubes of star energy above his head increased to 65 cubes in one go. His star energy had increased by 5 cubes, and this was not just the increase in star energy. There was also a huge increase in his foundation in other aspects. His combat prowess had increased by a large margin, and his strength had reached unprecedented levels. Chapter 2203. His lordship broke through? That's true. His lordship really broke through. He broke through just like that. He broke through in the middle of battle. It seems like he improved a lot in the previous 2 battles. When they saw Yi Tianyun break through, they all thought that he had comprehended something during the battle. According to the situation, theoretically, He had comprehended something during the battle. However, what he comprehended was star energy. After harvesting a large amount of star energy, he would successfully break through to the middle stage of the Great Star Venerable Realm. When they saw Yi Tianyun break through, they all heaved a sigh of relief. With an increase in cultivation, at least the difference in combat power would not be so great. However, their hearts were still in their throats. No matter what, he was a late-stage Great Star Venerable, while Yi Tianyun was only a middle-stage Great Star Venerable. There was a realm difference between them, so it would be quite difficult to break through. However, Yi Tianyun did not panic at all. Facing the attacks that surrounded him, he quickly swung the long moon azure dragon blade in his hand and slashed forward. Break! A blade light spread in all directions and quickly collided with the astral flame beast's attack. With a boom, the two attacks exploded in the air and disappeared without a trace. Such a heaven-defying attack had been easily neutralized by Yi Tianyun's attack. This power is still lacking. Yi Tianyun smiled calmly. The astral flame beast's pupils shrank. It had not expected that its move would be so easily neutralized. This was a move that he had expended a great amount of energy in order to execute. Yet, it had been easily broken. Too arrogant. The astral flame beast charged over again. Its flames surged again, and it was still using the astral flame world incineration move. They had just learned this move, so it would be good if they could use it. It was impossible for them to be very familiar with it. No matter how they used it, it would be the same moves. If they used too many moves, it would be the same as losing. This was especially true when the difference in cultivation was not large. If they used too many moves, it would be the same as losing. This move again. Too old. Yi Tianyun laughed heartily. The long moon azure dragon saber in his hand spun in the air and quickly clashed with the astral flame beast. He didn't use too many moves. He just quickly moved around the astral flame beast, slashing at it again and again. Every slash easily landed on the astral flame beast's body. The astral flame beast seemed to have returned to its original size. It wanted to hide, but it couldn't. It wanted to run, but it couldn't. It wanted to attack Yi Tianyun, but it was easily dodged. Not only did the increase in his basic attributes increase, but his movement speed also increased significantly. Relying on his combat techniques, the astral flame beast was like a toy that Yi Tianyun could easily toy with. Kong Fengshan and the others widened their eyes in shock. Was this still the astral flame beast that had suppressed them just a moment ago? Why did it look like it was playing around now? However, when they saw the 65 cubic meters of astral power above them, they knew that a powerful force was needed to achieve such an effect. If the difference in cultivation was too great, then Yi Tianyun would be toyed with. Damn it, damn it, damn it. The astral flame beast roared in exasperation. Every time it wanted to hit Yi Tianyun, it would be easily dodged. It wanted to dodge, but it would still be slashed by Yi Tianyun. In this state, it knew that Yi Tianyun had been toying with it. It could have settled this quickly, but now, it chose to torture it slowly. Go. The astral flame beast finally decided to retreat first. After that, it would think of a solution. At the very least, it would report the situation here so that its companions would know the situation here. However, just as it was about to escape, Yi Tianyun's eyes shot out a golden light. He had finally found a flaw. He had been toying with it, but the real situation was that it didn't have a fatal weakness. As long as he couldn't kill it in one blow, it was possible for the opponent to escape. Now that the opponent was escaping, it immediately revealed its biggest flaw. As soon as the flaw appeared, Yi Tianyun quickly flipped the long moon azure dragon saber in his hand, aimed at the escaping astral flame beast, and stabbed it. Swish! A saber light flickered and drew a perfect arc in the air. In the next moment, the tough body of the astral flame beast was cut into two. In terms of defense, the astral flame beast was inferior to the astral earth beast. The astral earth beast focused on high defense, while the astral flame beast focused on high damage. Even the astral earth beast was cut into two, so how could the astral flame beast be fine? After the astral flame beast was cut into two, a soul quickly broke free from its body and fled forward. It didn't even want its body and didn't even heal itself. Instead, It focused on escaping. But could it escape? The reason why it could escape was because Yi Tianyun had deliberately left its soul behind. If he didn't want to leave it behind, he would have killed the astral flame beast with his saber. Still want to escape? Yi Tianyun quickly caught up and grabbed the astral flame beast's soul. The soul in his hand felt very hot, like he was holding a piece of burning charcoal. The essence of the soul was filled with the power of flames. Ah, you damn cultivator, damn inheritor. The astral flame beast panicked. It didn't expect that it would be killed so easily and thought that it could escape. Even if it couldn't win, it could still escape, right? Only now did it realize that it wasn't a match for Yi Tianyun. The gap between the two was too big. Previously, it could still fight against the Death Clan. It could use its strength, physique, and newly learned martial arts to easily suppress them. When it was dealing with Yi Tianyun, it was very powerless. It was as if everything had been predicted. Whether it was the moves or the flaws, it was easily found. There's no need to die. I feel that you deserve to die more. Yi Tianyun didn't waste time with it. He reached out and grasped the astral flame beast's soul, scouring its memory. You. The astral flame beast's soul trembled, as if it was shocked by Yi Tianyun's ability. Yi Tianyun didn't wait for the astral flame beast to speak. He used his divine spirit bloodline and immediately erased the astral flame beast's consciousness, leaving behind only the purest form of soul energy. Ding! Successfully killed astral flame beast. Obtained 2 billion star energy and 2,000 slay points. Obtained astral flame beast bloodline. Astral flame crystal, rare. Astral flame, rare. After receiving a pile of rewards, Yi Tianyun didn't smile. Instead, his expression became very gloomy. My lord is truly invincible. Even the astral flame beast couldn't withstand your attack. Kong Fengshan and the others came over to congratulate him. They were all very surprised. This time, they had finally witnessed Yi Tianyun's true strength. With such a powerful inheritor leading them, why would they need to worry about the Astral Beast clan? Chapter 2204. Sir, what's wrong? Kong Fengshan and the others had a bad feeling, and it was a more serious one. Did we kill them because we used too much force and couldn't get anything out of them? We don't need to worry about that. We just need to kill them. As for the rest, we'll think about it later. Kong Fengshan and the others comforted him, wondering if Yi Tianyun had killed the astral flame beast because he couldn't hold back. In that case, they couldn't get any information. It was a pity, but there was no need to be so depressed. After all, they were Grand Star Venerables. It would be great if they could kill them. Capturing them alive would be more difficult. I already know their memories and their plans, Yi Tianyun said in a deep voice. Since you know their memories and plans, there is no need to be so depressed. What? They were all dumbfounded. They wondered if they had misheard him. He knew everything. They hadn't seen much, and they hadn't seen Yi Tianyun search their souls for a long time. How did he find out everything? It was mainly because of Yi Tianyun's super soul searching speed. He found out all their memories in such a short time. It was quite easy. Sir, do you mean you know all their memories and plans? Kong Shengming was dumbfounded. She opened her eyes wide. Yes, I know most of them. They don't know some of the plans, which is quite surprising. Yi Tianyun frowned. The astral flame beast was the leader of the three. He must know the most, or almost as much. However, after searching their souls, he found their memories weren't complete. For example, they don't know the headquarters of the giant beasts. It's really strange. Yi Tianyun shook his head. This was the strangest thing to him. This was a star venerable. A star venerable didn't even know the headquarters of the giant beasts. This was the strangest thing to him. If they wanted to go to the headquarters of the giant beasts, they would need someone to lead them there. Anyway, they didn't know. In this way, the source was cut off. They thought they could learn about the headquarters of the giant beasts through these beasts and then destroy them. However, it didn't work. The information was cut off immediately. If they wanted to find the real headquarters, they had to capture the leader. That's right. A star venerable has a high status, at least equal to an elder. An elder doesn't even know his own nest. I really don't know what to say. Could it be that he's guarding against something? Kong Fengshen and the others were also shocked. They didn't expect such a thing to happen. I'm not sure about that, but their memory is pretty much the same. Yi Tianyun said solemnly. However, there is a bigger plan, and it is very clear. What, Yi Tianyun? They pricked up their ears and listened carefully. You. Yi Tianyun, Yi Tianyun. Yi Tianyun. They want to capture you and use you to open the door of death. This is indeed the case. It's just that they didn't open the door randomly, but at a critical time. Yi Tianyun's tone became more and more serious. A critical time to open the door? When is that? They frowned and thought carefully, but they couldn't think of a reason. They didn't know when to open the gate of death. Couldn't they open the gate of death at normal times? When the purple gold divinity pavilion opens, Yi Tianyun said slowly. When the purple gold divinity pavilion opens, when the crowd heard this, they were slightly taken aback. Soon after, they gasped. They didn't expect the violet gold divine pavilion to open at this time. When the purple gold divinity pavilion opens, a large number of strong fighters will come. Almost all the strong fighters of planet Red Moon will go there. If they open it at that time, won't they kill all the strong fighters of planet Red Moon in one fell swoop? Kong Shengming guessed. That's right. Yi Tianyun said, that's their plan. They want to kill all the strong fighters of planet Red Moon in one fell swoop. Even if the strong fighters of planet Red Moon aren't united, they will gather to resist the invasion of the giant beasts. All this time, the cultivators and the giant beasts have been at odds. If they want to rule the entire planet Red Moon, they will have to kill a large number of strong fighters. The strong fighters of the Purple Gold Divinity Pavilion will swarm in and a large number of cultivators will hunt for treasures nearby. When the gate of death opens, a large number of vengeful spirits will swarm out. The strong fighters in the Purple Gold Divinity Pavilion will have nowhere to retreat. The more Yi Tianyun spoke, the more solemn his tone became. This was a rather ruthless plan. If it succeeded, they would be able to eliminate a large number of experts and eliminate all of them. This way, the families of planet Red Moon would be like a group of dragons without a leader. If the giant beasts invaded, it would be as easy as chopping vegetables. As for the wild dragon planet, there was no need to talk about it. The wild dragon planet paled in comparison to planet Red Moon. If planet Red Moon was conquered, then the wild dragon planet was just a byproduct. There were more than 2 giant planets in this area. However, if the 2 giant planets were conquered, it would be a convenient place for the giant beasts. I didn't expect them to know how to use the Purple Gold Divinity Pavilion. We were still thinking about how to enter and snatch the treasures, but they planned to use this incident to capture us all. Kong Shengming and the others felt a chill in their hearts. Fortunately, they didn't succeed and didn't catch us. Yes, but they will be searching for you crazily in the coming days. Moreover, after they devoured the Death Clan, they know how to use your senses. If you are not careful, they will be able to sense your location. Yi Tianyun shook his head and said, the giant beasts seem to have evolved in all aspects. They are a bit like some of the disgusting races I met in the past. What disgusting race? They asked curiously. The evil spirit race and the green demon race. These 2 races have similar abilities or similar thoughts. Yi Tianyun's eyes flashed. I suspect that they have gathered together and formed an alliance. The evil spirit race and the green demon race. Kong Fengshen and the others' eyes darkened. These 2 races are indeed disgusting and vile. However, they are much weaker than the giant beasts. Will the giant beasts ally with them? It's hard to say. They are somewhere, silently strengthening themselves to an unimaginable level. Yi Tianyun shook his head and said, it's a pity that they are not important people. They know too little. Fortunately, they know most of the plan. At least, the Purple Gold Divinity Pavilion is enough. They also want to seize the Purple Gold Divinity Pavilion and have prepared a detailed plan. However, the Astral Flame Beasts and the others are not part of it. Chapter 2205. The Giant Beast clan had temporarily come to an end, and the information was completely cut off here. Perhaps they could continue to attract the giant beast clan to come and capture the Death Clan, but they believed that they would not be able to find any information, just like the astral flame beast. Even such a powerful existence had no information, let alone the rest of the giant beast clan. Unless the one who came was truly powerful and had an extremely high status, they might not be able to obtain enough information. All that was left was to hide and let them rest and recuperate. This time, the Death Clan had suffered a great loss. Not only was the foundation of the clan that they had painstakingly built gone, but many of their clansmen were also gone. Now, they had to rest for a period of time and wait for the purple gold divine pavilion to open. When that time came, they would definitely join it. Not for the treasures inside, but to deal with the giant beast clan. The giant beast clan did not have the gate of death, but they would not give up just like that. They would definitely implement other plans. They could not let such a good opportunity go to waste. That was a plan that could capture all the powerhouses in one fell swoop. As for announcing to the public that the giant beast clan would attack the various clans, Yi Tianyun would not announce it. It was not that he was heartless or anything like that, but his announcement would not make any sense at all. For the time being, regardless of whether they would believe it or not, just asking them not to enter the purple gold divine pavilion was enough to convince them. There were so many treasures, but they were not allowed to enter. This was equivalent to having a piece of fat meat next to their mouths. Under such circumstances, even if they knew that the giant beast clan would attack them, they would still attack without hesitation. Therefore, it was not that he was too heartless, but that no one believed him and those who believed him would not listen to him. This was no different from not saying anything at all. Hey, what happened to me? Wasn't I already dead? What's going on? I remember that I was killed by that powerhouse. How did I come back to life? What's going on? I came back to life. In the heavenly cloud ancestral land, the Death Clan began to help Yi Tianyun resurrect his subordinates. He had previously promised to resurrect them. Now, the Death Clan began to help resurrect them. With their ability, the souls were dragged over from the gate of death, and the murderous aura and resentment in them were cleansed. Then, their bodies were reconstructed and they were completely resurrected. This process seemed simple, but it actually took a lot of effort, especially in terms of energy consumption, which was quite shocking. As their subordinates were resurrected one by one, everyone was incomparably excited. These were their most loyal companions, how could they not care? When Yi Tianyun saw this, he was very touched. Back then, he had wanted to resurrect himself. But now, it seemed that he didn't need to wait that long. He could just ask the Death Clan to help him resurrect. In order to avoid overexertion, the Death Clan was scattered to help with the resurrection, so the overall impact was not great. In particular, the number of revivals was not very high, so it would not affect the Death Clan much. No matter what, the Death Clan was now his own force, so he had to treat them well. Ding! You have completed the main quest, Save the Undead Clan and take them under your command. Reward, 5 billion star energy, 10,000 good deeds, super rare treasure, random, and 3 system evolution point. Ding! Starting to draw super rare treasure. Ding! You have successfully obtained the super teleportation godstone, ignores all seals, can only be used 10 times. Super teleportation godstone. Yi Tianyun was a little disappointed. Although the super teleportation godstone was very useful, he still hoped to obtain something more special. After all, he still wanted to increase his strength. Becoming stronger was the most important thing. It was a pity to rely on these things to escape. Since they had already given him them, he could only accept them. After completing the main quest, the most valuable thing was naturally the 3 system evolution point. If he wanted to upgrade crazy mode, he needed the system evolution points instead of star energy. The next level required 5 system evolution points to upgrade crazy mode. Right now, he still needed 2 more points. Tianyun, what's wrong? Shi Xueyun, who was beside him, saw that Yi Tianyun's expression was somewhat serious, so she asked. It's nothing, I was just thinking about something. The purple gold divine pavilion is about to open. When that time comes, there will definitely be a huge battle. Our force is about to face the most difficult trial. Yi Tianyun's eyes lit up. If the giant beasts attacked, their force would definitely be affected. By then, who knew how many people would die? Yes, but don't worry. This time, we have already made sufficient preparations. You can bear witness to our hard work all these years. Shi Shuiyun's eyes were filled with confidence. They might not be a match for Grand Star Venerables, but they would definitely have no problem dealing with Star Venerables. After so many forces joined them, their force had rapidly strengthened. They could definitely rival the mid-level families of the Red Moon planet. Now that the Death Clan had joined them, they would immediately have Grand Star Venerables. As long as they were not attacked by a terrifying force, they were confident that they could resist the shockwaves. They could even seize the opportunity to launch an attack and win a round. Okay. Yi Tianyun nodded. He had always believed in their abilities. It was like that in the past, and it was still like that now. The purple gold divine pavilion is about to open. Yi Tianyun looked at the purple clouds in the distance. This was a sign that the purple gold divine pavilion was about to open. This sign had appeared long ago. It made people feel uneasy. In the following time, Yi Tianyun also stayed quietly in his force and started a series of preparations. For example, he needed to make elixirs and forge weapons. There were too many things to prepare. He also needed to set up formations to stabilize his force so that he could deal with this attack. Many other forces also became restless because of the appearance of the purple gold divine pavilion. They were all extremely excited. Little did they know that the terrifying giant beasts were about to arrive. They had no idea. They were all immersed in fantasizing about how to earn treasures in the purple gold divine pavilion. Dozens of years passed quickly. The entire desolate dragon planet was covered by purple clouds. There was not a single place that was not covered. Even the ground had turned slightly purple. When the purple gold divine pavilion really appeared, it would be hard not to know. According to legend, the purple gold divine pavilion was built by a super expert. However, no one knew who it was. Rumble. Suddenly, the ground began to shake violently, as if something was slowly rising up from somewhere. It's time to move. I will leave this place to you. Yi Tianyun turned his head to look at Shi Shuiyun and the others, who were ready. No problem. Leave it to us. Shi Shuiyun and the others were full of confidence. Chapter 2206. Yi Tianyun was not worried about Shi Shuiyun. It was not only because his forces were growing rapidly, but also because he had made arrangements here. He had obtained many souls, and he had made them into puppets. Their cultivation was at least in the late star venerable realm. With so many puppets in the late star venerable realm here, as long as they did not run into grand star venerables, they could deal with them easily. Yi Tianyun would not leave so easily. He would never forgive himself if something happened here. He would only leave after everything was prepared and a foolproof plan was in place. He still had the super teleportation divine stone, so he could come back at will. That was why he could leave without worry. The purple gold divine pavilion has appeared. The whole world has gone crazy. As soon as Yi Tianyun flew for a distance, he saw a lot of cultivators flying in front of him crazily. They had gone crazy when the purple gold divine pavilion had appeared. They all wanted to get some treasures from the purple gold divine pavilion. Any random treasure was at the galaxy grade or above. It was easy to imagine how crazy they were. If they had a few elixirs, they would be able to break through easily. They might even be able to reach the Grand Star Venerable Realm. In the face of such temptation, no one could resist it. Almost all the forces had set out. No matter how strong or weak they were, they all flew toward the purple gold divine pavilion. After the purple gold divine pavilion appeared, it became rather obvious. A beam of purple light soared into the sky and pierced into the star field above. It even dyed the star Dharma forms in this area purple. Once they had a target, they all flew in that direction. As for the forces that had been looking for the purple gold divine pavilion from the beginning, some of them knew the exact location the moment the purple gold divine pavilion appeared and charged in. The first to go in would be the first to get the treasures. Of course, they could also be the first to become cannon fodder. Seizing the initiative had always been their priority. Yi Tianyun was not in a hurry. He did not care about the things that spilled out. He was more concerned about the treasures inside. The key was the giant beast race. This was the real problem. He did not know when the giant beast race would appear. In the astral flame beast's memory, it only said that when the purple gold divine pavilion appeared, the giant beast clan would appear to stir things up. Opening the gate of death or something like that to exterminate the experts here. Now that he couldn't open the gate of death, the death clan was well hidden by him. He definitely wouldn't be able to sense it. Under such circumstances, the giant beast race had no choice but to change their plan. As for what kind of plan it was not something he could predict. Very soon, he arrived at the area where the violet gold divine pavilion was located. As soon as he arrived, he could see an incomparably huge divine pavilion from afar. His line of sight was almost occupied by the entire building. This was not an exaggeration. It was like a tall city wall that stood in front of them and occupied all their vision. From this, one could see how huge the divine pavilion was. It was equivalent to occupying half a planet and spanning across countless ancestral lands. Most importantly, the violet gold divine pavilion was not directly above the houses of the various factions. Instead, it was like a mountain range that extended continuously to the side. At the bottom of the violet gold divine pavilion, there were already many cultivators loitering around, waiting for the treasure to appear. As expected, the moment the violet gold divine pavilion appeared, it seemed to be announcing its arrival. Many treasures shot out in all directions. The cultivators below exclaimed in surprise and rushed over to snatch the treasures. "These treasures are mine. They're all mine. Bastard, they're ours. Go to hell. These are all mine." The cultivators of many factions joined the fight. They were fighting over the treasures like crazy. Some even started fighting. The violet gold divine pavilion had just appeared, yet there were already casualties. Yi Tianyun took a closer look. The treasures they were fighting over were all above the galaxy grade. Even the medicinal pills were not ordinary items. The violet gold divine pavilion is rich and overbearing. It just appeared, and it already scattered a pile of treasures that even Grand Star Venerables want. How shocking. No wonder there are so many people coming here. If they can get 1 or 2 treasures, that faction will prosper for a long time. Yi Tianyun said as he looked at the crazy cultivators. They all have a reason to be crazy. However, Yi Tianyun's real target was not the treasures that were scattered. Although the treasures were good, he was not interested in them. What he was interested in were the treasures in the violet gold divine pavilion. Those who had the same idea as him were from the large clans of the Red Moon planet. Even the large clans like the Tian clan were not interested in these treasures. They went directly to the entrance of the violet gold divine pavilion. Yi Tianyun also flew over. Before he reached the entrance, he saw Tian Yuming and the others waiting outside. The Mu clan's Grand Star Venerables were also there. Apart from the Tian clan and the Mu clan, there were also many experts from large clans that he had never seen before. They were all Grand Star Venerables. It was rare to see Grand Star Venerables, but there were at least dozens of them. That was not all. Some had not arrived yet. "Brother Yunlong, you are here." Tian Yuming smiled when he saw Yi Tianyun fly down. Yi Tianyun did not say his name was Yi Tianyun. He gave them a fake name. Next to him, Mu Jiefeng of the Mu family looked over curiously. "Greetings, Brother Yunlong. Elder Tian Yuming already told me about you. We can form an alliance. I hope we can cooperate when we go in." Mu Jiefeng smiled. They were elders and clan masters of the Liu clan. Mu Jiefeng's eyes were filled with disdain as he spoke. They looked down on Yi Tianyun. He was alone and had no companions. This kind of person had a little bit of strength, but no background. He was basically reduced to cannon fodder. Since he was cannon fodder, they had to be courteous. Otherwise, how could he work for them? That's for sure. We have to cooperate and try to get good treasures in the violet gold divine pavilion. Yi Tianyun also smiled. Each of them had their own ulterior motives. After a brief introduction, they did not say anything else. They were not familiar with each other, and they did not intend to learn more about him. They just chatted for a while and waited for the entrance of the violet gold divine pavilion to open. The entrance of the violet gold divine pavilion was not open yet, so they could only wait outside. Chapter 2207. Many family powerhouses gathered there. The strongest among them were Grand Star Venerables, while the weakest were at least Intermediate Star Venerables. These Star Venerables were the super geniuses of some families. Their families had brought them there because they wanted them to get opportunities in the Purple Gold Divinity Pavilion. As long as they got the opportunity, they would have a high chance of becoming Grand Star Venerables. No matter which family it was, Grand Star Venerables were the most scarce. It would be difficult to fill the gap if one was missing. It would take a long time and countless resources to nurture a Grand Star Venerable powerhouse. This was why it was so difficult for the Liu family or the Mu family to nurture a powerhouse. Especially for the Mu family, which had lost so many Grand Star Venerables, they were heartbroken. When they came to participate in the Purple Gold Divinity Pavilion, they were not confident enough. There were not many Grand Star Venerables in the first place. There were only 3 Grand Star Venerables there. Unfortunately, they did not know that the real culprit behind this was Yi Tianyun. If they knew what he really wanted, they would really want to vomit blood. They were enemies, yet they were working together. Just thinking about it made them want to vomit blood. Apart from the Mu family and the Tian family, the other families had not seen many of them. However, he did see a few special families. There were a few extremely young people who were as strong as early-stage Grand Star Venerables. It was easy to tell that they were really young. It was not just their appearance that made them look young. When one's cultivation was high enough, they could change their appearance at will. They could look as young as they wanted. Some women even turned themselves into young girls. In fact, they were all monsters that had lived for millions of years. It was the same for both men and women. And these geniuses were really young. They were all less than 100,000 years old. This was a terrifying number for Yi Tianyun. He had been born for less than 10,000 years. Not to mention 10,000 years, he might not have even lived for 1,000 years. However, that was because he had the system. That was why he could live for such a short time. For them, if they could become Grand Star Venerables within 100,000 years, they would be super geniuses. Mu Yangsu, whom Yi Tianyun had killed, was a super genius. Unfortunately, he had killed her. The Mu family was furious. They had spent so much to nurture such a genius, but he died just like that. One could see the arrogance in the eyes of these geniuses. Apart from being interested in the Violet Gold Divine Pavilion, they had no interest in anything else. Occasionally, they would size up the other geniuses and observe them a little more while guessing each other's standard. All of them had come here to gain experience. Under the accompaniment of numerous elders, as long as they didn't court death, they would be relatively safe in the Violet Gold Divine Pavilion. There are so many geniuses, there are a few strange ones. Yi Tianyun's eyes flashed. Among them, he saw 2 geniuses who had unique stellar laws. A man and a woman, but they weren't from the same family. If they were in the same clan, that clan would be really heaven-defying to have 2 unique Star Dharma idols. A unique Star Dharma idol. I've finally seen it here. Up until now, Yi Tianyun had only ever seen a level 6 Star Dharma idol. Now, it was rare to see a unique one. This was enough to show how rare this unique stellar Dharma was. The man and woman who had unique Star Dharma idols were extremely arrogant. His head was so high that it almost reached the sky. However, he did have the right to be arrogant. Not only did he have a shocking cultivation level, but he also had a unique Star Dharma idol. He was indeed quite amazing. What was even more exaggerated was that he was hugging 2 stunning beauties in front of everyone's eyes. This kind of behavior was really sharp. He didn't care about how others looked at him. He casually played with the women in his arms. His eyes were filled with evil and he looked like he was being cynical. The other woman, on the other hand, stood quietly on the side. Her slender jade-like hands were pinching her fingers to calculate something. It seemed like she had some ability in divination. Little sister Jingxin, what are you calculating? Are you calculating the marriage between the 2 of us? Don't calculate too much. Just come with me. Both of us have unique Star Dharma idols. With the 2 of us working together, we will definitely be able to cultivate the strongest next generation. Plus, if we work together, no one will be able to stop our attacks. Zhu Xing kept checking out Jing Xin. Jing Xin was the super genius woman. Both of them knew each other. The elders of the clan turned a blind eye to what Zhu Xing did and pretended that they did not hear anything about it. They also hoped that the two of them could get together. Unfortunately, the one in their family was too promiscuous. How could Jing Xin be willing to get together with him? If she was a normal woman, she would have already jumped on him. Cultivators didn't care about their cultivation partners or how many female partners they had. If they followed a strong cultivator, they would be able to get some benefits no matter what. But Jing Xin was different. The martial arts she cultivated were special. Plus, she was also talented. Her possessiveness wasn't weak. Jing Xin glanced at him indifferently. She didn't even bother to pay attention to him. She continued pinching her fingers to calculate something. Little sister Jing Xin, you should think about it. I think in this world, no one can be more compatible with you than I am. Zhu Xing's face was extremely thick. He wasn't afraid of being rejected at all. What he said was even more disgusting. A long time ago, I heard that in this desolate dragon star, there was a genius with a unique star transcendence. I think he will be much better than you. At least, in terms of character, he will be better than you. Jing Xin replied indifferently. Zhu Xing's face darkened. He had heard about this before. He didn't think that this trashy desolate dragon star would have a genius with a unique star transcendence. Master, don't you want us anymore? Even if you marry Madame Jing Xin, we still want to stay with you. Piss off. Zhu Xing slapped them. The two of them were blown away. They rolled on the ground for a few times. Their beautiful faces looked like they were ruined. However, he didn't hit them too hard. He just slapped them away. Their lives weren't in danger. A genius from the desolate dragon star? Ask him to come out and meet me. I want to see what cultivation base he has reached. Zhu Xing's tone turned cold. He didn't like people of the same sex. Especially Jing Xin's words, they provoked his nerves. From what he could see, only he could marry Jing Xin. I feel that he is nearby. Jing Xin's hand stopped. Her beautiful eyes glanced around. Is that so? Where is he? Zhu Xing looked around but couldn't see anything. Chapter 2208. Yi Tianyun felt he was innocent. He had been staying there, but he had been picked to cause trouble. Fortunately, that guy had never seen him and did not know who he was. Otherwise, he would have come to cause trouble for him. He pretended he did not know anything and looked over there casually. I don't see anyone better than me. Maybe he doesn't have the guts to come here. Zhu Xing snorted and said, even if he has a unique star Dharma, if he is not a grand star venerable, he is just picking up trash in the periphery. This was the world of grand star venerables. Even if he did not have a grand star venerable cultivation, he would have a strong backer. In his opinion, someone born on the desolate dragon planet could not have a strong backer. There were basically no grand star venerables on the desolate dragon planet. Even if there were, there would only be one or two. I predicted he would come. He must be nearby. And his cultivation is not weak. Jing Xin added fuel to the fire. She continued to provoke Zhu Xing, as if she was afraid of something else. Where is he? Zhu Xing was enraged. He looked like he wanted to fight. Even if he looked like a good-for-nothing, he was still capable. I'm not sure about that. I've only divined that he's here. As for where he is, I can't divine it, Jing Xin said indifferently. If I really had to choose, I would only choose him, not you. Of course, that is because I have no other choice. I'm sorry, but I don't want to talk to anyone in my current state. Zhu Xing flew into a rage. He said angrily, Good. I hope he will not disappoint me. I want to see how capable the trash of the desolate dragon planet is. Zhu Xing did not mention what Jing Xin had said. He considered Yi Tianyun his rival in love. In his opinion, Jing Xin was only interested in Yi Tianyun, not him. No one could stop this kind of genius who was too full of himself. Lunatic. Yi Tianyun, who is listening on the side, wants to hit someone. Jing Xin obviously didn't mean that. She just wanted to say that she would not choose a scumbag like Zhu Xing even if she had to choose herself. And this was based on the fact that she had no choice. If she had a choice, she didn't want to choose anyone. However, Zhu Xing had already determined that Yi Tianyun was his love rival. As long as he got rid of him, Jing Xin would have no other choice. After Jing Xin heard that, she shook her head repeatedly, too lazy to pay attention to him. She was just giving an example, but Zhu Xing was blinded by it. The elders of the two clans didn't say much. They didn't care about the geniuses of the desolate dragon star anyway. Anyway, no matter how much of a genius he was, how strong could he be? Sometimes, a person's starting point was already destined to be low. With a unique star Dharma idol, it would be impossible for it to grow without a huge amount of resources to nurture it. Perhaps he had already passed the best period of nurturing, so they had even less interest in recruiting him. Yi Tianyun was watching from the side. When Tian Yuming saw the two families, he revealed some fear. These two families were relatively top-notch existences on Scarlet Moon Star. They could be said to be among the best. The other side had 6 or 7 Grand Star Venerables. He was a lot stronger than them. That alone was enough to make them cautious. Brother Yunlong, do you see those two families? They are the Zhu family and the Su family. They are among the best clans on Scarlet Moon Star. They are equally strong. They also have 2 geniuses with unique star Dharma idols. Please be careful in the Purple Gold Divinity Pavilion. Don't provoke them, Tian Yuming and the others reminded him. They didn't care about Yi Tianyun's life. They just didn't want Yi Tianyun to provoke the two families. It would be terrible if he brought them trouble. After all, they were on the same side. If something happened, would the Zhu family and the Su family believe them if they said they didn't have any cooperation with Yi Tianyun? Don't worry. I will pay attention to that. Yi Tianyun smiled. He knew what they were thinking. Rumble, at that moment, the Purple Gold Divinity Pavilion suddenly shook violently. Soon, golden lights shot out of the wall-like pavilion and scattered in all directions. Yi Tianyun glanced around. He knew the Purple Gold Divinity Pavilion was scattering treasures again. He saw many galaxy-grade treasures and elixirs scattered in all directions. The Grand Star Venerables were indifferent, but the families of the smaller factions in the distance started fighting over the treasures. Under such circumstances, it was better to fight over the treasures, but not to the point where they would fight to the death. The Purple Gold Divinity Pavilion would appear for a long time. During this time, it would scatter many treasures. The treasures would belong to whoever got them first. They wouldn't rush over to fight over them. Unless, of course, the treasure that was dropped was something that defied the natural order. Besides, if they were really heaven-defying, they wouldn't be the ones to get them. The big families would rush over to fight over them. Normally, heaven-defying treasures wouldn't drop. The truly heaven-defying treasures were inside the Purple Gold Divinity Pavilion. The gate is about to open, someone said. Then, a gate of light slowly opened in the center of the Purple Gold Divinity Pavilion. It could even be said that this wall-like divine pavilion had a huge gate of light forcibly opened. There was no need to worry about not being able to squeeze through the huge gate of light. It could easily accommodate millions of people at the same time. All the powerhouses started moving the moment the gate opened. Even Zhu Xing, who had been frivolous, became serious. Let's go. Don't split up. Tian Yuming and the others moved quickly and led their people in. The two big families worked together. Yi Tianyun followed them and rushed in. In the blink of an eye, all the experts in this region rushed into the light door. There were many experts here, but in an instant, they were all cleared out, turning into an empty space. Not even footprints could be seen. If someone hadn't seen them go in, they would have thought that no one had been here. The other families didn't move. They didn't plan to go in either. That was the territory of the big families. It had nothing to do with them. Elder, why don't we follow them in secretly? Even if we don't get any precious treasures, we might get some leftovers. Don't think too much. In the past, there were many clans that went in, but none of them came out. The danger inside is not something you can imagine. We should just stay here. The elder scolded his disciple and warned him not to act recklessly. All the disciples shrunk their necks, not daring to have any more thoughts. At this moment, two figures turned into two beams of light and flew into the gate of light quickly. Elder, 2 people went in. That's Lord Grand Star Venerable. They all looked in that direction enviously. Only Grand Star Venerables could go in.